Welcome to America's Day of the Races with a star-packed Saturday lineup from Tampa Bay down to the Pasco. Owen Almighty has by far the best resume. Graded stakes place with Derby qualifying points already. He looks to add a second stakes victory. Can Mrs. Worldwide keep things rolling in the Gasparilla? She looks for a third straight stakes win after her score in the Sandpiper at Tampa back in December. It was one of the most shocking upsets historic Saratoga Racecourse has seen in years. 2023 hopeful winner Nutella Fellow returns after missing most of his three-year-old campaign. And we'll recap today's ladies handicap from Aqueduct for Hall of Fame trainer Todd Pletcher. Had the two mares to beat, but one completely took over. That and more coming up on this Saturday edition of America's Day at the Races, brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net. Today, good to be with you on our Fox Sports 1 coverage. I am Greg Wolf, and today a pre-Derby prep for the three-year-old beginning for Owen Almighty, a horse who definitely has Kentucky Derby aspirations. For trainer Brian Lynch, hopes to use this race as a stepping stone to two key preps at Tampa coming up in February and March. We'll see him in just a little bit, race 4 in the Pasco. Let's take a look at what's ahead, presented by Claiborne Farm. Races 4 through 9 at Aqueduct. That includes a pick 6 carryover in the fourth race that is just 9 minutes away. So we'll bring you races 4 through 9, fast track, and then at Tampa Bay, 3 stakes on that card, fast and firm in Tampa. And we'll have Acacia Clement live on site for all of it today. With me, New York Racing Association handicapper Andy Serling, champion handicapper Jonathan Kitchen. Good to see you guys. And yeah, Owen Almighty, he has shown talent from the get-go for Brian Lynch. Had a little bit of a hiccup and was sidelined for a bit after that Iroquois, hoping to use this as a stepping stone to the Sam F. Davis.
Yeah, I question whether or not he's truly going to be a distance horse and whether or not going to Tampa, even staying there, and he's good. He's going to get him as a Derby horse, but he's a very talented horse, and you might remember Brian Lynch came to Tampa with a 3-year-old a few years ago. Do you know who I'm referring to? He doesn't train the horse anymore, and Connections decided to run the horse long its entire career. Greg's laughing because he knows.
History with these
Classic
two
Causeway.
with that horse.
You know what, actually, we almost got in a fight about Classic Causeway.
That's right. That's right. We actually did get in a fight.
We actually did get in a text fight.
Well, you know.
Kind of.
You decided to throw him in.
Well, yeah. You know what I would say, though, is there's a lot of times when horses are attempting to do something that they might not want to do, I always kind of give a good trainer the benefit. I think Brian Lynch is an outstanding trainer, and I do think that this is a situation that's going to help him with the cutback, but I won't just write him off as a horse that won't go a little bit longer.
Right.
By a sire, you don't necessarily think 2 turns, but according to Brian Lynch, his trainer, he feels he can get 2 turns. We're not going to see that today. We will see eventually.
I've never heard a trainer say my horse wants less distance. You ever notice that?
We'll get to that in Owen Almighty. That's in the Pasco coming up. Lovely afternoon in Tampa, Florida. Let's head there live now. Check in with Acacia Clement. Hi, Acacia.
Hey, Greg. Good to hear all you guys. Yeah, it's actually a little bit chilly for Florida standards, but about 60 degrees here at Tampa. Certainly cannot complain given what you guys are feeling up in New York and around the country as well. Hope everybody stays warm, but about 3 races underway here at Tampa Bay Downs and looking forward to the 3 stakes on the card today, as you mentioned. And to Andy's point about a trainer saying my horse wants less ground, last year's winner of the Pasco, Bookham Dano, Derek Ryan said immediately after the race, we're not going to stretch him out. We're going to keep him around 1 turn because that's what he's best at doing. So we'll see if there's anybody even close to the talent of what we saw in last year's Pasco with Bookham Dano kicking off his 2024 campaign, but looking forward to seeing what the likes of Owen Almighty can do today. But beyond those stakes, in the 9th race today, we'll see the return of Nutella Fellow with that huge upset in the hopeful as a 2-year-old. Only ran once last year in the summer, and that was when we saw him finishing a really good 3rd in the Woody Stevens behind Bookham Dano and Prince of Monaco. He was a huge price that day as well. Didn't think he looked 100% fit coming back there, and unfortunately was sidelined following that race with Gary Contessa saying that he feels very confident about him coming back in this race here today, potentially using this as a stepping stone back into some sprint graded stakes down the road. So could potentially be a fun starting point here at Tampa Bay Downs, Greg, as we often see a lot of really good horses kick off their seasons right here in Florida.
Yeah, some very big names. Thank you, in case you're going to be there as well, including Arad Ortiz Jr., but Nutella Fella, 54-1 when he pulled off that shocker in the hopeful. We've not seen him since June of last year. Exciting to see him back.
Yeah, we'll see what he can do in there. And it's a funny race because he's a deep closer. And there's no speed to begin with, and the actual speed of the race scratched out. So we'll see if he gets the kind of dynamics that he's had in the last two races.
And often in those situations, what can happen, though, is everyone will look for the speed that can get loose in there. But sometimes it actually works different where the closer gets invited in to the race because there's no one to stretch it out. So, if he's best, he can get it done. I just don't have a lot of confidence.
We're a little skeptical on the set of Nutella Fella.
That is coming up, race 9 at Tampa Bay Downs, so have a little ways until we get to that one, but excited to see it. You can play all the action today, of course, by getting signed up right there with Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime, including all the races we'll have for you on this Saturday edition ahead. New members, punch in the code BONUS200 to get that $200 deposit match sign-up bonus. There it is again at NairaBets.com. And get involved, too, in this Pick 6. We have a carryover coming up here in this very next race, this fourth. We're just 4 minutes away, and already an additional $116,000 bet into this Pick 6 pool. Going to kick things off with a one-turn mile. All horses for sale in this race for $25,000. Claiming race for horses who have not won 2 lifetime. And we kick things off in the post parade with Big Rich first off the claim.
Yeah, moves up off the claim, being claimed by Jimmy Ferraro, who's had some good numbers recently. I didn't think it was impossible, but he probably has to improve a little.
Morning line favorite. Here's D-Day Sky, Wayne Potts.
Yeah, a horse that's run well at this level, while a lot of these other ones have run poorly at lower levels.
Just be honest, coming off a win against a soft group.
Yeah, that's the thing. He will say the second horse came back to win and ran a similar figure, but is that effort good enough?
Here's Concord Spirit, Eric Cancel.
Finally got the win for maiden 30, but was 3-5 in that race. I don't give that too much credit.
This horse had been the favorite most of the wagering. Slight second choice now.
Yeah, he's going to drift up from the 5-2. I think, Greg, you like this horse more than I do. You perhaps think the race at Laurel better than it is he's primarily running synthetics.
It was his first time on dirt in a while. And then Final Denial went by, Kendra Carmouche.
Yeah, ran horribly at a level below this one.
And Golden Purchase on the outside at 10-1.
Yeah, to be fair, he ran okay last time out. I think this is a tougher field. But the reality of this race is, if you're not a big fan of the 2, you can be very forgiving of just about anybody because there really isn't that much form. I was hoping the 6 Final Denial would improve off the claim for Rossi de Paz, but maybe it's a bit of a wing and a prayer.
1 for 44 lifetime outside on that 7 Golden Purchase. As you take a look, what's that?
He's due.
Yeah, overdue angle. It can be an angle for sure. 3 minutes away from the start of this Pick 6 carryover. Let's check in for the first time today with Maggie Wolfendale.
Yeah, I thought Golden Purchase might be able to get the job done last time out, yet he would be denied yet again. But let's check in with some of the favorites, including number 2, your current choice at 7-5 is D-Day Sky. A horse that attended the pace while 3 wide. The winner that day, Scat 2 Tap, got the most ideal trip of any in that affair. The one thing I didn't like about D-Day Sky, as Michel Giangiulio was more than willing to give him up 2 starts back, is that he didn't switch leads. Overall, though, what I'm observing here on this particular occasion is he looks great. I have no problems with him in what I'm seeing from him here in the prelims. So let's see what he does. Let's see if he can switch leads and maybe get a more ideal trip, though we'll have to do so from the inside. And now a horse that was taking that money, Secret Treasures, we do see Dylan Davis back up north here, riding here at Aqueduct, but mostly down in South Florida. Big, solid horse, as I kind of anticipated in watching his last replay back at Laurel. But it was a really slow, glacial pace up in front of him. He circled the field while 5 to 6 wide, and he just kind of kept coming, but came up a neck short. I wish he was a little bit more energetic in the warm-ups, but I had to give my selection prior to watching them go off. So I'm going to land on him in that I'm just hoping maybe with this one turn configuration, they do go a touch bit quicker. But you never know what's going to happen around here. But I really liked him back in the paddock, probably best overall. As we'll take a look here at number 6, Final Denial, who was a regulatory vet scratch. So when it's listed as that, it's usually due to a lameness issue. Now, severity, we don't know, but he's
He's back here, same condition that he was entered back in. Horacio de Paz seems adamant that this horse wants to go longer. I don't agree. His one try, though, on the dirt going long was over a sloppy racetrack, so fair to say that he deserves a chance over a fast track in doing so, but he's not put together that way, and we've just seen him in his career so far in 8 starts that he feels more like a closing sprinter. He did warm up really well. He kind of elevated in my eyes after I watched them warm up. Really energetic, really animated stride to him. I'm just not sold, though, Greg, on him and this mile.
Yeah, we'll see if he can handle this stretch out here. 4-1 right now on Final Denial.
Yeah, I was grasping at straws, to be honest, in this race, and I don't have a big knock against D-Day Sky. He's the horse to beat. He's consistently run races that are faster than these, Jonathan, and I don't have an argument with him. I know you picked him. I just wanted somebody else, and I thought maybe Horacio de Paz, who has some okay numbers off the claim. Nothing great, but claim from Christophe Clement. They like to give each other a hard time, so they want to win it. And he's a horse that showed a little something early in his career. Maybe he can find that form again, but I don't have a lot of confidence.
I just really wish he would have ran better at a short price
He was
last
terrible.
time. At a level below this one.
Yeah, I agree.
That's the only. I'm not talking you off the horse at 7-2.
No, but you're right.
That
What you said is 100% correct.
And I think that the couple of interesting ones are the ones off of their maiden wins. So the 3 and the 4. I thought the 3 at 15-1 was at least just a little bit interesting. Got a nice number that time. Ran for maiden 20. I mean, that's obviously a lower level than we're dealing with here today, but
Cuts back a little.
could just maybe have turned the corner to a certain extent.
Go ahead. No, I was going to say, isn't another problem with the 5 who's taking all this money that he is woefully slow? Doesn't he feel like a horse that could be badly pace compromised?
That was an incredibly slow pace that he was sitting off of last year.
He's
feels
never
like-
shown any speed at all. He's behind slow pace race after race.
He's 2-1 to be last early.
Real quick.
Oh, no, he's 2 to. You mean he's 1 to 2 to be last early?
Real quick. Anywhere you felt maybe the last race where you can key in on a horse?
I think a lot of people will key in on the 10 in the last race.
Okay.
And I wonder if Frizzante a little bit in the 6th race. And I'm not sure a lot of people aren't going pretty. I mean, the 2 could be one where people are leaning at least in this race, right?
Frizzante is what I was going to say, is one you can maybe lean on.
Because the 7th and 8th races are terrific races, wide open races. So you probably want to try to find some short ways to go short to get to those races. So you could use
race 6, by the way, Frizzante.
Right, potentially is a 6 to 5 even money shot, right?
Thought it was a wide open race.
I picked him. I don't love him, but I couldn't come up with a case against him. I'm just looking by price who are the shortest ones,
Yeah.
and I think the 5. Maybe the money's meaningful with the 5, but
You're right. Incredibly slow pace, and he was pretty far off at last start. Here we go. Start of this pick 6 carryover here in the 4th. 1-turn mile. Chris Griffin to kick things off.
Goes in. All set. And they're off. Concord Spirit from In Between Horses has early speed, and Golden Purchases with the early lead too. Just Be Honest is ready to join them, is now in the 2 path, is going to take a challenging second with At the Rail. That's Big Rich. Pretty tightly bunched as they get set to come out of the chute. Just Be Honest has now confronted Concord Spirit, who's going to take back and now sit in second with Golden Purchase 3 wide in third. They are hooked up with the backstretch now. It's another group of 3, and behind them is At the Rail. There is Big Rich. In Between Horses comes D-Day Sky, and out wider progressing. There comes Final Denial. The trailer, who shoved along, that's Secret Treasure at the back end of the field. 23 and 4 for that measured opening quarter there. Just Be Honest. Just Be Honest has it all his own way and now has 4 furlongs left to travel. In Between Horses is now Concord Spirit back for more, and Golden Purchase out 3 wide. 48 seconds flat for that half-mile time. Final Denial is in pursuit from 4th, but the leader is Concord Spirit with a nose in front. Just Be Honest is now asked the question at the rail, and Golden Purchase continues to loom 3 wide after that early group. Final Denial's been right in behind the pace, and here comes Kendrick Carmouche, and Final Denial on the move from 4th as they approach the top of the stretch. Golden Purchase and Concord Spirit continue to go at it. Final Denial with every shot down the center of the racetrack. D-Day Sky is trying to run on, and Secret Treasure, but it's now opening up. Final Denial out in the center of the racetrack is up by a full length and a half. Final Denial is extending the margin now. Golden Purchase continues to battle on. D-Day Sky down at the rail. Secret Treasure, they're railing on late, but Final Denial Kendrick Carmouche with another one. Kendrick Carmouche and Final Denial. They win it. Finishing second there was Golden Purchase. Photo for third. Final running time, 1 minute 40.57 seconds.
Final Denial to kick off this pick six. Carryover 7-2 start and can handle the stretch out, at least against this group, to a mile. Nice pick, Andy Serling.
Thanks. He got a good stalking trip, I guess, in this situation. And listen, Jonathan, handicapping is not about finding the best horse in the country. It's about finding a horse you think might be best, and this horse moved up a little off the claim.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of times when you have a negative opinion on a horse and they shove you in a locker like Final Denial did to me, I think it's important to kind of look back to try to see what did I miss. And I suppose with Final Denial, he had some back numbers. And if you judged him solely off of his poor performance last time, it could lead you to where it led me to that I didn't like him. But if you were to be forgiving for that and think that maybe that the trainer change could potentially wake him up to find those back numbers he had with Christophe Clement, then you could have expected this.
Yeah, I think, people look at trainer changes incorrectly sometimes. I think the whole gist of trainer changes is, let's find a trainer that doesn't win, claimed by a trainer that wins all the time. And as we've learned, some of the toughest horses to claim from, trainers to claim from, are guys who have low percentages. And I think sometimes a horse just needs a little change of scenery. And Christophe Clement, who really should be in the Hall of Fame and hopefully will get elected in the Hall of Fame this year, he's obviously a great trainer. But Horacio de Paz is pretty good too, and sometimes they just find the right key to turning around. Let's face it, he didn't have to run that well to win this race.
Yeah, not a monster field, and that the nature of that condition usually is the case. Non-winners of 2 lifetime. Kendrick Carmouche saluting the crowd.
There's nobody outside. He's waving to nobody. He's one of those guys.
Pick six, I think he's waving to you, maybe. 2 today already for Kendrick, and again a 7-2 beginning in this pick six carryover. We're going to take a timeout. When we return, Owen Almighty back in action. 3-year-old debut coming up. Horse already with a few Derby qualifying points for trainer Brian Lynch, hoping to set a path to the Sam F. Davis and Tampa Bay Derby ahead. Back with you on our Fox Sports 1 coverage. Just getting started. We're underway in the Pick 6 carryover here at Aqueduct. And we got 3 stakes ahead out at Tampa Bay Downs still to come. 7-2 beginning to the Pick 6 with Final Denial handling this stretch out against this group. Kendrick Carmouche, second win on the afternoon for trainer Horacio De Paz, first off the claim.
And I think if you're alive at the Pick 6, you did eliminate a lot of people who played on a smaller bankroll, who probably went pretty thin on the 2 in here. And even though it was a third choice, a horse that's a nice horse if you started the Pick 6 off and got it done for Kendrick, who's waving to his fans.
So Final Denial. Yeah, the only time trying a mile before was a sloppy sealed track. Different scenario today, and that was against a much tougher field, by the way. Night and day. And against this group, much better result.
Absolutely, and I think that the thing that I take away from this, I try to take something away from these races, even if I'm wrong, and I'm wrong badly, is I think that the change of scenery for a horse, whether it's from a Hall of Famer, should be Hall of Famer, future Hall of Famer, or not, is something that you can give. If you're looking for creativity and looking for an opportunity for a horse to improve, it's an opportunity that definitely can be had.
Let's go to Tampa, Florida, and here's the Pasco 7 furlongs, $150,000 purse, and Owen Almighty 1-5 early on in the wagering here, the 6 horse.
Do you think Irad Ortiz might get a little overbet at Tampa today, Jonathan?
Yeah, I mean, I think he gets overbet everywhere, and especially at Saratoga. It wasn't as bad this summer with Flavien having the success that he had, but he wins a lot of races though, Wolfie, so it makes a lot of sense.
Yes, he does. Well, more on that in a minute. He came into this race, Owen Almighty, the Grade 3 Iroquois, to end his 2-year-old campaign undefeated, perfect 2 for 2, including a stakes win. Came out of this race with a few Derby points and a bit of an intestinal issue, and they had to stop on him for a bit.
And while he didn't go on with it, he didn't run well in the Breeders' Cup with his sort of questionable riding tactics and didn't run as well in a subsequent start. Jonathan's Way, who beat him last time, is a very, very good horse, and he was in great form back then. This horse is pretty good. Now, I think both of us think Rookie Card, the number 4, could be a reasonable challenger, and I don't think one should be 1-5 and the other should be 4-1.
Well, the thing about Rookie Card is that performance at Saratoga on August 24th, he ran through a very, very, very cold summer for Danny Gargan. To run that well, and it was probably his best performance, even though he didn't.
He hadn't won a race in the meet at that point, I don't think, right?
And this horse ran extremely well into the teeth of that.
Here's Juan Colorado to kick off the post parade.
Yeah, he's found himself in an awfully tough spot, unusually tough running of the Pasco.
Incredibly easy group where he broke his maiden on dirt at 5.5 furlongs. That was 25,000 maiden claiming. Different world of horse he's going to be facing today, and that's why the big price. Very bold. We'll see in a moment next door for Owen Hardy.
Yeah, he has the poor performance last time on the synthetic, but I think you can draw a line through that. And if you look to that race at Churchill in the slot, he's in the mix.
19-1. This is Cockeyed in his dirt debut. He went gate to wire for a win.
It's just hard, at least for me, and he's okay, but he's got to improve so much. Any of the inside 3, in my opinion, have to improve a lot to contend with the outside 3.
Here's Rookie Card for Danny Gargan. He said he is fast, but he doesn't have to have the lead.
Yeah, I mean, look, the one thing you notice when you look at the races that Rookie Card's been in, they've been productive, right? There's been 5 winners out of those races. There's been 6 second-place finishes, a couple of thirds. They've all been pretty productive.
Naughty Rascal, he was a runner-up by a narrow margin here at Tampa last start.
Yeah, I think he's the 3rd likeliest winner in this race, which is not a bad thing.
Owen Almighty, who Brian Lynch has said from the absolute get-go, this horse has shown a ton of just God-given talent.
Absolutely. I mean, he looks like the type of horse that it reminds me a little bit of, I'm going to go blank on the name now all of a sudden, the 2-year-old, the sprinter that the New Jersey bred horse.
Oh, Bookham Dano?
Yes, Bookham Dano, who is a horse that the connections made the decision. We don't have to go long to be great. Let's back up to this one-turn situation that fits the horse better, and I think Brian might be doing that with this horse, at least for the time being.
Well, his plan is to go on and see. I mean, most people, if you have a good 3-year-old, don't you just want to check the box off?
And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, and I don't think Jonathan's disagreeing with that notion. It's interesting. One of the reasons that I think Brian Lynch no longer trained Classic Causeway after he won the Tampa Bay Derby was he realized he wasn't good enough. I think they ran him the Bluegrass, right? He didn't run very well. Brian realized he wasn't good enough, and they did run him the Bluegrass. Didn't he ran the Florida Derby, excuse me, and was 11th. Brian realized he's not going to be good enough at a mile and a quarter. I think Brian probably wanted to cut him back, and that was the dispute, I think, that probably led to it. I don't know exactly what happened. I'm not privy to that. But I imagine it's something to do with it because he did not want to go to the Kentucky Derby.
Big showing here from Owen Almighty, and the plan is to go to a couple of races. Yeah, he won Brian Lynch with Classic Causeway back in 2022. Let's go to Acacia for more.
And pleased to be joined now by trainer Brian Lynch, who does send out your favorite Owen Almighty. And Brian, as you and I were just chatting about a horse that he got on his toes coming over here, but you said he's class.
Yeah, no, he's fresh. He hasn't been to the races for a while, and it's a new environment. He shipped over this morning, so he got a little excited on the walk over, but calmed down nicely once we put the tack on him.
I read Ortiz was aboard for his last work. He's off a little bit of a layoff. What have you seen from him coming back?
Solid work. I mean, he's doing really well, and we think this is a great spot to kick off his 3-year-old campaign. I mean, you always would like to have another work in him, but I guess that's just me. But he's doing really well, and, you know, we like the Pasco, and if he was to run well here, we'd bring him back for the Sam Davis, and if he was to run well there, we just like the program over here, and so just thrilled to be here with this sort of horse.
And he looks like he could be very exciting as well. But coming up in the Gasparilla in the next race, you also have Mrs. Worldwide, also to be ridden by Irad Ortiz. What can you tell us about her?
Yeah, she's just become a little model of consistency. Looked very good winning here the other day, and she's, you know, touted herself all week, so I'm hoping she sort of duplicates that sort of race again.
Thanks for the time, Brian. Good luck.
Thanks, Acacia.
All right, Greg, could be a big stepping stone today for Owen Almighty.
We will find out. There he is, 3-5, and part of that super short price is the man aboard. We expected him to be a short price anyway, but whenever this guy shows up, that price gets even lower. Irad Ortiz Jr. has won 5 of the last 6 Eclipse Awards as outstanding rider. He won't get it this year because of an outstanding year from Flavien Prat, but he is as good as it gets in this game. 4th all-time in earnings.
Sorry.
3rd most wins in Breeders' Cup history. He's only 30 years old.
He's already won $1/3 billion in purses. Think about that for a second. You know what's amazing? I was looking back at apprentices. I think we talked about this yesterday. Winners of the Eclipse Award for Top Apprentice. How about the fact that neither Ortiz brother won that Eclipse Award?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Sort of nuts, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I mean, without looking at it in front of me, the most recent and journeyman significant one I can think of would be Tyler, right?
It is Tyler.
Do you know who gave him his award, who presented it to him?
I'm guessing it's you.
It was me. That's the only reason I'm
2 years later, it got worse. I presented the Best Jockey Award.
It's 6s all across the board, and the public agrees. 3-5 favorite Acacia, Owen Almighty.
Yeah, he does look like he's going to be tough to beat in here. And I know that Brian has said, you know, taking this one step at a time and potentially being able to stretch out into races like the Sam F. Davis and Tampa Bay Derby moving on. Just going off of today, I'm totally fine with the 7 furlongs for Owen Almighty. And no surprise that he is fresh off that layoff. He looks very fit off the bench. Brian did say that he was sidelined after the Iroquois with a little bit of an intestine issue, but has come back really strong. I watched that last workout at Palm Meadows where Irad Ortiz was aboard. He was exceptionally sharp from the gate, and while he was working with an unraced mate, he just was never even approached by that foe and that company, and so just really strutting his stuff, and he looks like he is a horse that does have some quality about him. I've been impressed with what I've seen from Owen Almighty thus far. But now the number 4 rookie card comes in off the back of a win, and I know he's a horse that has been really well thought of all along, but he, I thought, won nicely last time. Danny Gargan saying that he doesn't need the lead, but he's a horse that has speed on his side, and I think that's to his advantage. If I'm just looking at this entire field here, the one that's the most convincing as far as getting distance down the line is actually a rookie card. He is a big, solid horse and has really filled into himself quite nicely. Also, just an important note with this Pasco, rookie card is both Florida bred and Florida sired, so he's actually also eligible for the extra $75,000 purse. So that's a good reason for him to be showing up here, as he will try to stretch out a little bit as well. The number 5 Naughty Rascal comes out for Gerald Bennett, perennial leading trainer here at Tampa. And this is one who's been incredibly versatile, winning sprinting, going long on the turf. He's been able to do just about everything. He is a very Solid horse. For one that's actually had quite a few races, 5 starts already, he carries a lot of condition about him. And coming up in here, very switched off as well. Really took it all in stride, which I do appreciate as he stretches out just a little bit in here as well. He couldn't catch the winner last time out, Donut God, another Brian Lynch trainee who will go to the Swale instead, but I thought finished that race pretty well and looks like he will appreciate the 7/8 that he gets in here today. But according to the public, Greg, they've all got to get around Owen Almighty.
Certainly seems that way, and yeah, again, that price lower because of who's aboard, but we expected Owen Almighty, just off the resume, to be an incredibly short price as well.
Yeah, I mean, 2 to 5, Jonathan, a little bit short, but I think he should be 340 to 360 in here.
Yeah, I'm not sure he's not 3 to 5. If I'm trying to look at the most recognizable name in here outside of Irad, I guess it'd be Junior. If Junior was aboard the 6, I think the reason they're betting this horse is because he has 3 of the fastest numbers. He is screaming for this cutback on paper from 8 to 7 furlongs. He's drawn well outside, and there's no one else in here that looks like they want to beat him.
Right. This isn't a second choice that's vying for favoritism simply because Irad's riding. This is way the horse to beat. Right? I mean,
no question. As for rookie card, and we brought it a couple of times now. Yeah, Danny Gargan says, he doesn't have to get the lead. I find it hard to believe he's not going to go to the front.
If he doesn't make the front, it's a mistake.
I'm glad you brought that up because more than my horse wants to go long, every trainer with a speed horse will tell you my horse wants to rate, and occasionally they're right. They'll say, he raced great in the morning.
But in fairness,
he's loose here.
Why in the heck would you not want him on the front?
It seems like his best weapon.
You ain't beating the 6 from behind him here. I agree. He's loose on paper.
And, yeah, he's run good. He's run against some big names, too. But he's had 3 starts now. He hasn't really improved. It's sort of been the same number every single time.
Maybe even a little slower. Now, I will say the horse he beat, Treaty Rome, ran decently to finish second in the Mucho Macho Man last week. He's okay, the 4. I'm not wildly against him. I think 7 to 2 is a generous price on him.
Yeah, no, and he's going to be in front of him. He'll give you a thrill, at least, I would think, to the quarter pole.
3-year-old debut for stakes winner Owen Almighty from that outside post, the 6, with Irad Ortiz Jr., the 2 to 5 favorite in the Pasco. We're all set. Let's go to Jason Beam.
And Owen Almighty, Irad Ortiz Jr. to the outside draw. 2025 Pasco Stakes. So Owen Almighty goes forward. They're in the gate. And the race is on in the Pasco Stakes. Rookie card was away in good order. Owen Almighty out well from the outside. Between him, Naughty Rascal. So the 3 favorites going right at it right from the opening bells. They come to the main track, and Owen Almighty's just in front of Rookie card. Now coming up to near level terms, a length and a half more. Back to Naughty Rascal, who settles down third behind the top 2. It's 2.5 more back to Cockeyed, who advances to the inside from 4th. Then a break of 3 back to 2 of the long shots. Juan Colorado and Very Bold. They both spot these leaders about 8 as Rookie card now back a nose in front. Countering right back is Owen Almighty, 21-4, demanding test for this 7-furlong event. Naughty Rascal now comes up to join the party on the outside. So the 3 favorites once again in a cluster as they go toward that far turn. Oh, Rookie card took an awkward step there and is back to 4th now. So back to the top here, and on the outside, Naughty Rascal, Owen Almighty. They've gone about 5 or 6 in front of Cockeyed. Very Bold is up to that 4th position. Rookie card again dropped back to 5th. Juan Colorado is 6th. They come around to the top of the stretch. Naughty Rascal on the outside of Owen Almighty, and these two head and head to the top of the lane. They're 5 lengths clear. A Very Bold who now merges up into the 3rd spot. A final furlong left to go. Owen Almighty on the inside of Naughty Rascal. These two with 150 yards left to settle their score. Owen Almighty on the inside, now back in front. Naughty Rascal now a length back. Owen Almighty edging clear late. Owen Almighty and Irad Ortiz Jr. to win it by a length. Naughty Rascal was 2nd. 3rd went to Very Bold. 4th was Cockeyed. And 5th was Rookie card.
Rookie card checks out of the race. Owen Almighty got a bit of a test from Naughty Rascal, but in the end, in the stretch here, puts that one away for the win.
Yeah, Jonathan and I looked at each other around the quarter pole, 5/16 pole. And Jonathan, you said to me, it looks like people might think he's in trouble, but you could see Irad was just waiting patiently.
But I think that the point is that's why he's Irad. Is a lot of riders would have panicked in that situation and maybe try to get their nose back in front, or, oh my gosh, I'm getting headed by this other horse, I'm in trouble. And he just sat chilly. And he was chilly all the way to the 8th pole. He just sat there, let that other horse be asked, head him the entire stretch, and then when he asked him, he opened up and won. It was a lot more impressive than it looks to me with the final margin.
I thought he ran well. Now, there will probably be an inquiry. In fact, there already is, because the 4 did check out. Now, without seeing the head on the backstretch, there's no way for us to see if, in fact, he made it tight. And here it comes. Junior sort of checks out right at that point. You can't comment without seeing a head on.
Well, I will say this, and I obviously wish Richie was here to comment. When Irad looks over, it's because he heard Junior yell. And so that makes me feel a little bit more confident that Junior felt like he was in tight.
Maybe if Junior had ridden more aggressively, he'd been farther through. They went pretty fast the first quarter, though, to be fair.
So yellow cap on the inside.
We got a while.
Yeah, it's going to take a bit here.
Well, right now they're in the 2 and 3 path. And now they're going to get to the turn, so they're inevitably going to drift in a little bit.
And Junior's trying to get his position there forward.
Trying to scrape the rail a touch, too.
I don't know. I felt like he was trying to get into a spot too late.
I'm going to tell you what Richie would say, and if Richie's watching, he'll text me. Richie will say, if you're Junior in that spot, you've got to make sure you're holding your position when you get the break of the turn. Having said that, Irad did sort of bump him there, but let me ask another question. Was it Irad coming over, or was he taking pressure from the outside of him to go? You know what I mean? Maybe the 5 sort of drifting in too.
I think that if you can't, I mean, I don't know. I've never ridden, but you can't stick your nose into a spot and then say, this is my spot. I feel like you have to you got to get half your body into the spot to have claim of the spot.
Yeah, you have to have ownership.
Well, he was in there. I mean, to be fair, it just feels, it's hard for me to know.
But I tell you one thing, to your point, is if Junior would have been a little bit more aggressive early, it would have definitely been his spot, and that couldn't have happened.
I agree.
Back to New York, start of the pick 5. And maiden special weight, all trying to get that debut or first career win, I should say, here at 6 furlongs. We start with an entry, Grand Commander, breaks from post 2.
I don't know which one it is, but I've heard one of the 2 in the entry can run. This one worked a very mediocre 22 flat at the 2-year-old sale.
Entry mate right next door, that's Gourmet Dinner.
I'm going to guess, though, that Dylan Davis is on the one they like more of the entry. They are taking money.
T-Craft, this is the experience of the field, was second to Chancer McPatrick.
He looked awfully good that day, despite the fact that his owner, Lee Einsteiner, told me, no shot today. Well, he was right, because every other race he's ever run, he ran like he had no shot.
Chancer, of course, became the hopeful winner at Saratoga this summer. Here's 1/900, first-timer Tom Morley.
This horse is taking a lot of money for our friend Tom Morley, who doesn't necessarily have the greatest numbers with first-time starters. And I think not intentionally. I don't think he tries to win first time out.
He worked 10 flat at the 2-year-old sale. I like the work.
Chad Summers with the 5. It went by Senor Pancho debuting.
Barn has been very live lately.
Social Hour, blinkers on, start number 5.
This horse has a lot of experience compared to the rest of the group and has some okay numbers, is drawn well, and puts the blinkers on.
And you talk about Jonathan's Way. He was third, a distant third, albeit, to Jonathan's Way, who ran in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile.
Yeah, I don't like his last race he came out of, even though he got a much better fig. I question how good that race was, but you're right. You go back to that race 3 start, 2 back in his dirt starts, and he ran well. I'm not going to say he has no chance. I think this is a race you want firsters, though.
We will get into it when we come back. Race 5 to start the late pick 5 on this Saturday card from Aqueduct when we return on our FS1 coverage.
Spun to Run. His brilliant speed figures were among the fastest of any 3-year-old at a mile or more, and he hails from the legendary Danzig sire line. Now, this multiple graded stakes winner, millionaire, and Breeders' Cup champion is passing his remarkable talent along to his progeny.
Night Beacon airs at the home of Spun to Run's Breeders' Cup victory.
Spun to Run, standing at Gainesway.
Horse racing? Check. Weekly promotions? Got 'em. Huge payouts? You bet. With Naira Bets. Download the app today and bet on any track, anywhere, anytime with live HD horse races, betting tips and tutorials, expert picks, and more. You bet with Naira Bets. Join now for a new member bonus at nairabets.com.
Introducing Peace and Justice, new to New York in 2025. a proven sire with over 200 wins, 16% wins per starts, and one of only 2 New York-based stallions to have a graded stakes winner at Saratoga in 2024. Now, with 3 different racing surfaces coming to New York, and with New York breds running for equal purses as open company, Peace and Justice is the sure choice for 2025. Peace and Justice, now standing at Irish Hill and Duchess View Stallions in New York.
What's at stake? $1 million purse. Oaklawn Stakes races are where horses step out of the shadows and into the spotlight, and where Triple Crown dreams begin. The Southwest Stakes is coming. It's the race where the legend of Mystic Dan began.
Mystic Dan is turning it on!
And it's back and bigger than ever. Big crowds, big names, and a big old payday.
Mystic Dan, a dominant win!
This is your Oaklawn.
Stewards have made their decision in the Pasco at Tampa, and they have made a change. Owen Almighty, the odds-on favorite, taken down, disqualified, and Naughty Rascal put up as the winner.
I get it. I'd like to see it again because I also wonder if the 5 was drifting in just as much as the 6 was, and the 6 reacting to that. I'm a little surprised at the call.
I don't have a problem with it, just not used to seeing it at that point of the race.
Back here to New York, this 5th race, 8-5 favorite. First-time starter for Tom Morley, 1-900. Let's go to Maggie for more.
Yeah, cleverly named son of Dialed In, as we'll check in with him here first. And 1-900 makes an excellent impression. Bigger horse, athletic, solid, came in to the paddock very sharp, very aware kind of his situation, acting like he's done this before. So look for him to possibly have some speed. As Andy pointed out, he did work that very swift 10 flat, not much urging either from the rider that day way back, nearly a year ago, 10 months to be nearly exact, at the OBS March sale. Now, I know Tom not necessarily known to win with first-time starters, but I'll say this horse was nearly maybe a work away from making his debut up at Saratoga before a minor issue arose, and now he's come back. So, you know, he's been preparing for quite a while now. We'll see how he does here as he is taking all the money. Though number 5, Senor Pancho, did catch my eye significantly. Liam's Matt, while he's not great with first-time starters, he has become a decent sire, and a sire that can get a horse to do anything. Though I will say the full sibling won the debut, albeit kind of lower level, but is a 3-time dirt sprint winner. Handsome horse here, good size to him, excellent coat. He looks about 95% fit. He warmed up beautifully on the racetrack. We'll see, maybe he needs a start to kind of put it all together. Is wearing blinkers first time out, but one I want to watch with a lot of interest. Number 6, Off the Claim for John Toscano's taken his time in getting Social Hour back to the races. Now, I thought going longer was the key with this horse, and he ran his best figure going long, but John has put a lot of conditioning on this horse. He's a lot stronger behind, he adds those blinkers, and he's a lot sharper than what I've ever seen from him. So I'm going to take a little bit of a shot with him, just given the experience, given what I'm seeing from him off this trainer change, Greg.
All right, Maggie, thank you. See what happens here. 8-5 on this one, debuting for Maggie's husband here, Tom Morley, 1-900. Jose Lezcano will ride. And you said you felt like a first-timer maybe was ripe to win this race. You didn't love what you saw from those who'd run?
Listen, I hope the 3 runs well. He's a good friend of all of ours. We always like to see his horses do well, but he's ultra inconsistent at best.
How in the heck did he run as well as he did to a multiple Grade 1 winner in Chancellor McPatrick if he isn't good? I understand
That's
his
fair.
other races suggest that he's not.
What happened, though, after that?
I know. I just have a problem with that. I mean, I would single this horse if he would just have shown one other race.
Yeah.
But you can't run that well against a multiple Grade 1 winner and be as bad as he has shown us to be. It just doesn't make sense.
There's talent in there somewhere. Will it show up today? 6th chance to break his maiden and get that first career win for the 3T Craft for Hall of Fame trainer Bill Mott. Here's the 5, Senor Pancho, trained by Chad Summers. And then Social Hour, a horse who had that 3rd to Jonathan's Way, was last year's Iroquois winner.
I mean, it's listen, the 3 and 6 both have the credentials to win, but I felt like if one of the firsters was decent, they would win here.
Chris Griffin, here's the 5th from Aqueduct.
And they're off. stumble at the start for T-Craft is the early trailer. Grand Commander flashes early speed, and Grand Commander right to the front with Social Hour, who wants to get in front of this pace setter now, is a bit keen on the front end, but now Social Hour has the lead. Grand Commander down towards the inside, and also right there is Gourmet Dinner is in between horses. Outrider Senor Pancho, 1-900 was at the back of the field, but quickly moves up, and now 1-900 in an instant has taken third. At the rail now is T-Craft after the stumble is in fourth. Then in between horses, that's Senor Pancho. The trailer, Gourmet Dinner, 23.36 for the opening quarter mile. Social Hour has the lead, is up by a half length. Grand Commander is trying to hold that position at the rail. Here comes a swift move from T-Craft and Sahim Savachi. Now T-Craft has put a nose in front as they get set to reach the top of the stretch. 1-900 out in the center of the racetrack is trying to run on. The leader towards the inside is T-Craft. It's T-Craft with a head in front. Right there is Grand Commander, but 1-900 has been imposing around the turn, and here's 1-900 straightening up. 1-900 is trying to push on by a very game T-Craft towards the inside. Grand Commander not going away. 1-900. 3-horse photo. It's a photo finish. 1-900 ended up finishing third as it was a photo between T-Craft and Grand Commander. 2 noses on the wire. Who was it in race 5? Final running time, 1 minute 11.94.
Not quite sure who got that nose down at the wire. A couple of interesting performances here. One more look at it.
And it's the 3.
Inside.
Came back on the bob. Now, to be fair, the 1 was third best in here, though he lost a tough one in there because the 3 is going to stumble at the start. You see him right there. He didn't go down to his face, and the 4 was his own worst enemy. He didn't break. He moved wide. He ran in spots. He
One more look at the wire here. Are we certain?
Yes.
Yeah, inside.
100% sure. On the slow-mo we showed before.
3146 posted unofficially by a whisker.
And I will say this too, even in victory, T-Craft has still not shown me that 4-legged animal that showed up against Chancellor McPatrick. This was good. He won, and congratulations to our friend Lee Einsiedler. But I still am waiting for that big performance.
Would you say the most impressive performance here was maybe the 4 in defeat?
Yeah, I mean, the 4 ran. I mean, I'm not taking him into the 3. He stumbled the start. It certainly hurt him. But, he was athletic enough to get himself back in good position. The 4, obviously, whether it was the horse, some will blame Jose Lezcano. I'm not sure. I don't know what to think here. This was a strange race. And the problem was the pace was so slow that it brought everybody in the race, and he was in that bad position after getting left. He ends up wide. I can understand frustration from a number of people in here. And this isn't a bad race, by the way. 111.94 on this racetrack's actually not that bad.
3146 T-Craft finally graduates here, career start number 6 for Hall of Fame trainer Bill Mott. As we get back to Tampa, change made. Disqualification of Owen Almighty with that bumping around the turn. And as a result, Naughty Rascal the 5 put up picture time and gets his 4th career win, now in 6 starts. Let's go to Acacia.
Well, an exciting Pasco for sure is Naughty Rascal, elevated to first for the win here, and I'm here with his trainer, Gerald Bennett, as, yes, elevated to first here, but a horse that ran exceptionally well given the way that race did play out.
Yeah, well, this horse has a lot of credentials coming in here, so our horse ran a good race against him. I mean, obviously you don't like to see that on anybody, but it's one man's bad luck's another man's good luck, so you have to take it the way it comes.
It's the nature of this game, isn't it?
Yeah, it's up to the decision of the stewards. So we just keep moving forward, hope he comes out of here sound. I think he's going to get much better when he gets along.
You could kind of see it in his last race, too. It seemed like he was getting to the leaders, and it does seem like a little bit added ground will do him well.
Well, I didn't realize I'm looking at him because he's like the pet of the barn, now. So I'm looking at, well, he's got a little bit fat on me, too. So I got to get after him a little more. So after seeing this race here, because I know he's as good as these horses, and I think when we get stretching out, I'd like him to be eyeball to eyeball and going a distance of ground where I think we'll get that opportunity.
Well, I think he's deserving of some cookies today.
He's a fighter, so he'll win his share.
Now, Gerald, quickly, I know that we've seen you as perennial leading trainer here at Tampa for many years. I know the Tampa Bay Derby, a race that you've certainly dreamed of winning. Do you feel like this is a horse that could be that type of horse?
Yeah, I almost won it with a horse I claimed for $16,000 a few years ago, and so I think this horse is a much better horse. He's got a great personality. His composition is great. Doesn't care about anything. So if he ever did get to the Derby, it wouldn't matter how big the crowd is.
Well,
loves everybody.
Wishing you all the best with his future. Congratulations.
Thank you, dear.
Greg.
Well, good for Gerald Bennett. Naughty Rascal, the beneficiary here of a little bumping from Owen Almighty on another horse in the race.
I think that Irad's reputation, which he had probably earned a few years ago, had something to do with his DQ. I could be wrong, but I think his reputation precedes him. For me, it's been years since Irad has given a ride that I would call reckless at all. I think he's cut that nonsense out. I'd have to watch it again because I'm wondering if the 5 was coming in just as much, and I thought this was a surprising DQ.
Do you agree?
Yeah, I do. I'm surprised. I do think that sometimes, they don't get a lot. They don't get a lot of opportunities to have Irad ride there, and this is pure speculation, just how I feel. You're not going to do that. You're not going to do those moves here.
Not my house.
Yeah, I just didn't think it was that dramatic. I've seen him do significantly worse.
Yeah, and get away with it.
Yeah, significantly worse.
Gasparilla's next. 3-year-old filly, 7/8 of a mile. We'll see Irad Ortiz Jr. back to work on Mrs. Worldwide. For Brian Lynch again, she'll try and win her 3rd in a row when we come back. Back with you on our Fox Sports 1 coverage. America's Day at the Races, brought to you in part by Hallandale at Alapa. And, we had some drama, obviously, at Tampa Bay. We had some drama in this race, too, to start the Pick 5.
Yeah, no, this horse, a deserving winner, and that he got the stumble. He was fortunately able to save ground, which obviously helped him, and got a nice bob. But considering the start, a nice win for this horse.
Yeah, I mean, look, he had shown a glimpse to us this summer when he ran in that race that Chancellor Patrick won and went on before he went on to win 2 Grade 1s, where you thought, oh wow, this T Craft can run a little bit to be able to be that competitive against a horse of that quality. And he just had a lot of disappointing efforts until this one, where he finally probably lived up to what I would think Bill Mott and Lee Einseidler both thought they were going to get from this horse based on his first race. Second race.
Lee probably thought he was going to win the Derby before he ever ran.
Hot pink silks of, our friend Lee Einseidler. Congratulations. T Craft getting that maiden score. So onwards and upwards with that first one under the belt now for Hall of Fame trainer Bill Mott. T Craft pays $8.10 for that win. That early pick 5 in the books comes back just shy of $700, and again starts the late pick 5 sequence. Back to Tampa Bay, and 3-year-old fillies get their turn, going 7 furlongs. Here's Tessitura out of the multiple Grade 1 winner Octave.
Horse has absolutely no speed, and Octave's been a decent enough producer as she tries the dirt for the first time, a total wild card.
Dancing Magic next door, one of 3 runners on the board at 7-1. Junior Alvarado will be aboard.
Yeah, it just doesn't do much dancing early in the race. It's been slow in the last 3 starts.
Here's Lynn's Milky Way. She led every step of the way in her only start.
She might be too cheap, but I'm taking a chance that she wires the field.
Jose Ferrer will ride on the second-time starter. Here is Vuela Paloma for Gerald Bennett.
Looking for the double here, Gerald Bennett, a horse that has some speed. We'll see if the 3 and the 4 hook up or if one of them gets loose.
Another cliche. This is 9-1 right now. Horse who got drilled in the Sandpiper by the one we'll see next.
Horse looked terrific first time out. Didn't even run that badly in Frizette, and then went down to Tampa, and it was a disaster.
How angry do you think Rat Ortiz Jr. is right now? He's on Mrs. Worldwide after that DQ.
I would imagine he's actually legitimately a little frustrated. We'll see what kind of ride he gets here.
And this one trying to win her 3rd in a row. Win and you're in. 3-time winner for this Florida bred.
You're going to have to hope the turn back helps a horse that doesn't really living up to that early form, at least from a speed figure standpoint. And I know the turn back probably helps, but I wonder if this horse has just kind of peaked. And this is one, by the way, where IRAD is being overbet. What in the world makes the 6 odds on in this race based on PPs?
I'm thinking she'll drift up a little bit. I think that 4 to 5, I agree with you, is a little too short, and I think she'll drift up. And she isn't off back-to-back wins, and we know that the public loves those ones in the past performances.
She can win.
And they love, the man who's aboard again. This was her 2nd win in a row. Back-to-back stakes wins. This was against Open Company in the Sandpiper.
I agree, but I don't know how much IRAD's going to be able to ride her better than her last race. I mean, she ran fine, but she's not running particularly fast figs. Anywhere you look, Timeform US or Bayer have this horse as relatively slow and tapering off a bit. She could win, but I don't think that she's anywhere close to even money to win this race.
Much bigger case of being overbet here with this man aboard than what we saw in the Pasco.
I think the winner of the last race who got DQ'd was a legitimate 1-2 shot. Another horse came down, but I don't have a big problem with that horse's odds in that race. This is, to me, is great. This race is pretty wide open, Jonathan.
Yeah, I mean, this horse's last 2 figures are very competitive and very nice. I'm not knocking the figures, but there's horses in here that are either right there or right behind or knocking on the door, which that makes it harder for me to lean on this horse at such a short price.
Well, Mrs. Worldwide, she'll try and make it 3 in a row as Rat Ortiz Jr. tries to shake off that DQ, Acacia.
Absolutely, and if there's anything I know about Irad Ortiz, he is coming out on the track with something to prove in here today. But that's just the beauty of being a jockey. You have to have a little bit of a short memory as well to be able to move on to the next thing. And as far as Mrs. Worldwide is concerned, Brian Lynch called her a gem of consistency, and she certainly has been that, coming off of back-to-back victories. Now, she did win against Open Company in the Sandpiper last time out here at Tampa. That's one of the 2 wins that Brian has had with horses shipping in to Tampa Bay Downs, and a horse that I think has some tactical speed to her name as well. She's stout, she's compact, she's built like an out-and-out sprinter, as she will try to stretch out a little bit to the 7 furlongs today. And while I'm nitpicking, she's one that I do think from a physical perspective, shorter, probably a little bit better. I like her, don't get me wrong, but we'll see what she can do trying to stretch out just a touch. And here, to the outside, the 7, Win and You're In, is going to cut back in distance. And I agree with Andy that, yes, she's not necessarily moved forward from that impressive figures that she was running early on in that 2-year-old form. Taking a look at her win 2 starts back in the Florida Sires Stakes Susan's Girl division, I thought it was a big performance from her, stalking inside, took over on the turn. She never switched leads in this effort, but she was always clear. And while last time out when stretching out, she was not effective, she did switch leads professionally, I should say, which I appreciated. And when you have a Florida stallion, a bred filly, and you have a $300,000 race going along, I can certainly understand Connections wanting to take a shot. She's a sprinter. She's going to love the cut back in distance in here, and I do think that this is the right spot for her to get back on track. Now, the number 5, Another Cliche, I want to give a little bit of another try to her. She's a big price. She won first time out pretty impressively as well. Yes, it was a restricted maiden, but she was a horse that I just thought on debut, from my notes, really needed to strengthen up, and she has done that. She went right into the frisette, A, going long, and B, just in over her head against that tough grade 1 company. And then last time out, I just thought she never looks comfortable throughout any running of the race. She was really sharp today, but like I said, she's physically developed. She's come along quite a bit, and she's one that I think has a little bit of dirtied up form. Let's see if that first race is an anomaly, but that 69 buyer is certainly not too far away from her shorter price competition. And then finally at the 3, Lynn's Milky Way, that Andy's going to try with that early speed. Not the quickest from the gate on debut, but she was breaking from the rail. She was very sharp in here today too, and she is a big filly. So I think the fact that she's had a race under her belt hopefully can get out of the gate a little bit smoother in here. And she has an interesting kind of pigmentation on the side of her neck, so almost like little freckles. I thought actually on debut it was because she was hot, but it's just the way that her coloring is, and she's a generous price right now, Greg.
All right, Acacia, thank you. 6-5, back to even money actually now. Mrs. Worldwide trying to make it 3 in a row, and we'll see what kind of tactics too she employs. She's kind of done it different ways the last couple of starts.
Well, based on what we saw out of Irad in the last race, he was being aggressive with what he thought was the best horse. I would imagine he'll be pretty aggressive here as well. At least make the others run inside of him and then maybe take back.
And I think last time, though, he was aware that maybe the horse he most had to beat had speed, and he didn't want to let that horse get away. I don't know. I mean, the 3 is pretty quick. Whether or not he's going to show that speed again in the second start, I don't know. I took a shot of her wiring the field with no confidence.
Jason Beam with the call. Here's the Gasparilla from Tampa Bay Downs.
To complete the line. Goes in. They're in the gate. And the race is on in the Gasparilla Stakes. Unseating the rider right at the start there was Tessatura to the inside. Couldn't see if the horse lugged in or what happened, but Tessatura unseated the rider and is running loose here through the chute. Up front, Lynn's Milky Way is the leader as they run onto the main course. Vuela Paloma away in good order, just a length back off Lynn's Milky Way, who leads them onto the main track. It's a length and a half more then, back to Mrs. Worldwide, who's out in the 3rd spot. Outside of that one, Win and You're In. Dancing Magic's toward the inside, racing along in 5th. It's about 5 more lengths then, back to Another Cliche, who is the trailer. So they go to the half-mile pole, 22 seconds the opening quarter-mile time. Lynn's Milky Way freewheeling up front past the half-mile pole. That lead out to 3.5 now. Vuela Paloma is second. 2 more back to Win and You're In, who just went by Mrs. Worldwide, who's now back 4th. Dancing Magic is 5th and about 9 or 10 off this isolated leader. It's about 6 more back to Another Cliche. Lynn's Milky Way, catch me if you can as they come to the 5/16 pole. The lead out to 5.5. Up to the second spot, Win and You're In. Mrs. Worldwide dropped right out of it, being passed there by Dancing Magic, who's up to 4th. But Lynn's Milky Way still with a 3.5, 4-length lead. Digging into it is Win and You're In, who's getting a little closer from that second spot. 3/16 of a mile to go. Lynn's Milky Way the lead down to 2.5. Win and You're In on the outside has a lot of momentum. Also Dancing Magic's making up serious ground, going to wheel to the outside. A final 16th to go. Lynn's Milky Way still there. Dancing Magic on the outside is trying to fly at that one. Dancing Magic on the outside grabs the lead And Dancing Magic and Junior Alvarado to win it by 2 in the end. Lynn's Milky Way was second. Third was Winning Year the long way back to Mrs. Worldwide, who finished fourth.
Tough break, last race in the Pasco for Junior Alvarado. On rookie card, makes amends here. It's Dancing Magic he wins on for Michael Campbell.
Got a fast pace to close into, but he's the only horse that made up ground. I felt like I was kind of smart betting a few dollars on the 3 in this race, but was ultimately no match the 2, who won for fun.
Yeah, it was a good play by you, though. A horse that on paper looked a little overmatched from that maiden 50 win, but the figures weren't too far off. Looked to get a comfortable lead in here. Those are the types of long shots or horses that are prices, I guess you should say, they can get loose on the front end. The 2, which is probably just too much horse for that horse.
She wanted it for fun here. I mean, Junior barely even asked her at the end, and I don't know what they were thinking about with the 6, Mrs. Worldwide, but she never got involved.
Waiting for it across the wire in the shot we just got off.
It's like nobody was in the race besides these horses, right?
Dancing Magic, impressive indeed. In this Gasparilla, Michael Campbell trainer, Junior Alvarado for Melon Patch Inc. Your winning connections. We'll be back with more. Another stake ahead at Tampa. Stay tuned.
Idiomatic in front, 16th to go in the Juddmonte colors. Florent Giroux aboard. Idiomatic to win the Grade 1 Juddmonte Spinster.
Idiomatic is taking the lead. Clippier trying to squeeze through, but it's going to be Idiomatic to win.
And Idiomatic just opens back up here with every stride. No catching. Idiomatic winning the Juddmonte Spinster for Florent Giroux.
Curlin, the classic sire.
Enhance your handicapping with AI Fast Facts, exclusively on Naira Bets. Open your Naira Bets app, click View Runner Details, and a stat-driven fact will appear for all U.S. thoroughbred racehorses. Download the Naira Bets app to start using Fast Facts today.
RaceLens is the most in-depth product in horse racing, with unique features found nowhere else. True odds, predictive analysis, and pace projection. RaceLens. It will change the way you follow horse racing and take your game to the next level.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Thanks for spending part of your Saturday with us here on our Fox Sports 1 coverage. You're watching America's Day at the Races. And the pick 4 to come here in New York. $50,000 starter allowance race. 2 turns, mile and an 1/8 coming up. And Frizzante, you guys talked about this one earlier, getting heavily padded, even money.
Well, drawing the rail does not hurt a horse who is the inside speed and the one to beat.
Kendrick Carmouche. Second off the claim for Linda Rice. Here's Scat to Tap coming off a win.
Yeah, I mean, had a little bit of a trip last time and overcame it, but had some pace to close into as well.
Biggest price on the board, Senegal.
Yeah, comes off a wire-to-wire win at a mile, but this is a completely different ball game.
Strapped gets a fast track for the first time in a while.
Yeah, this horse has a bad habit of breaking slowly, though. If you look through the past performances, there's at least 3 or 4 performances where the horse misses the break a little bit.
Melt with you has several races that could make him a player. 901.
I agree. He does. They were for Jamie Ness. That's the concern, but I agree. Not impossible.
Wait list, another one for Linda Rice.
Horse ran well last time in the starter allowance after getting claimed 2 starts back from Linda. I think this one's interesting.
And strong form out of town for Traffic Master.
Yeah, that it's Jamie Ness. And, I mean, he does won races here. The races he's won have been non-claiming races. I just don't know if he's as good as his last race suggests.
Well, 6-5 favorite, 1 of 2 for Linda Rice. But next door, Maggie, Scat to Tap coming off a big performance at a mile. Will now try and get a little bit longer today.
Yeah, I totally agree with you guys in that, he went and got those leaders. The horses that finished second and third that day at a mile, they ran 1-2 around the racetrack. And Manny Franco, as he was a horse that had predominantly been running on the turf, seemed very cognizant to keep this horse out of kickback. So he's going to have to try to orchestrate a trip from that more inside post now going the 2 turns if he is a horse, at least that's kind of what I gathered, that might not like getting dirt kicked in his face, but I do think he'll appreciate the 9 furlongs here, and he showed now that he can handle the main track. Antonio Arriaga, underrated type of trainer, doesn't have that many horses, but very hands-on with them, and I like this guy here stepping up a bit in class. Moving on to number 6, Weightless, comes off a little bit of a freshening here for Linda Rice, and was beaten by Treaty Obligation, a stablemate who rattled off 3 wins in a row, including his next start with an 89 Byron allowance race. Weightless, while he's not necessarily built like a horse, looking at him here today, he's a little bit smaller. He's not your typical 9 furlong type of runner, but you watch his stride and he has this big, loping, kind of lumbering stride that usually lends itself well to getting more ground. He comes back in here and he is fit. He's also quite fresh. So sometimes a horse that is a little bit on the fresher side off a bit of a break, well, sometimes they need to shake off that ring rust. Moving on to the outside with the Mid-Atlantic shipper for Jamie Ness, Traffic Master. Now he truly looks like a 9 furlong type, although this is the longest he's gone, but he's been consistently running around 2 turns at Parks, at Laurel, so on and so forth. I just wish he carried a bit more conditioning. He's very tall, spindly type of built horse. Not my type per se, but I get respecting Jamie Ness coming in here. But again, Greg, I really feel as though Frisante, much the horse to beat, just going to try with the price right to his outside and scat to tap.
All right, Maggie, thank you. 6-5 favorite, though, as we look at the 7-horse Traffic Master, the one down on the inside. It's Frisante taking all this money, 1 for 14. You see 6 runner-up finishes as well. Is that a concern for you?
Yes. The fact that he's got 9 seconds and thirds. He was a different horse for Linda Rice last time, though. I mean, he ran a figure that he's never run before by a lot. So the question is, can he run it again? To me, I was between both Linda Rice horses in this race, and the difference for me, Jonathan, is this horse not only is drawn well, but has speed, and the 6 horse, Linda's other horse, has none.
Well, the one thing about it, when a horse has a lot of seconds like that, I like to ask myself, well, what are those seconds? And if you look back all the way to like January 12th of 24, here are some of his prices when he was second. He was 8-1, 5-1, 8-1, 5-1, 4-1. So it doesn't upset me as much. Because he wasn't the best horse in the race, so he ran second because he probably got beat by a horse that was better than him. That makes me a little bit more comfortable. The other thing is to Andy's point, he's a different horse for Linda, which often happens with these starter allowance types. They're a different horse when they qualify for the condition than they are now. This horse is significantly better, and that's why I just think he's going to be tough at 6-5.
Yeah, I'm not, believe me, I'm not, I look at the race. The first thing I think is, can I make a case against a favorite? And I'm not in love with him. My problem was I kept looking at these races, and these are the races I end up spending the most time on because I'm trying to make a case. I'm not going to manufacture a case against a favorite unless I'm willing to bet that horse. And I'm not willing to bet anybody in this race. I'm not really that interested in betting anybody beside. And I'm not saying I want to bet the 1 at 6-5, but I mean, the 5, I guess, isn't a terrible shot at 9-1. Maybe if somebody said to me, you have to bet $20 in this race, I'd bet the 5 at 9-1. But I think the 1 is much the worse to beat.
I'm a little surprised on that price on the 5. What do you think about Mel with you, JK?
It's a little bit of a trickier situation for me because some of the bigger performances were for Jamie Ness, and that doesn't always transfer. And the one shot for Wayne Potts trying the starter allowance company, this horse really didn't do much running at all. Without any real excuse, that would be the negative for me. I guess the alternative, and it doesn't make me feel great, would be the 6 Weightless. But if I'm going to take Weightless at 3-1, I'll sacrifice those extra 2 points. Just give me the horse I think is going to win in Frisante.
And there's no super just speed burner in this race, but this horse, who's even money, the 1 Frisante, certainly is quick. has the inside post, and that first turn comes up almost immediately.
He has such an advantage over the others because of his speed and his post. And it just feels like he might be in a position to control unless somebody gets super aggressive. I don't know who that would be, and that's why there's a big difference in price for him in the 6. Not just the speed figure, but also the fact that tactically he's supposed to have a better trip to the 6s.
And Wolfie, he has speed. You mentioned speed and post, but he also has a rider that's not going to take that situation away from him.
Yeah, Kendrick Carmouche, never one to take that away from his mount. Frizzante, heavy favorite here in the 6 from the inside post. Let's go to Chris Griffin for the call.
Traffic Master. Last to load. And in. All set. And they're off. Traffic Master from the far outside does show early speed and hard scent. There's Frizzante, wants to be in the early mix with Scat to Tap. In the 3 path is going to be Senegal. It's these 4 tightly bunched into that turn. Senegal is trying to take command. Just having to steady there is Scat to Tap, who's now back to 4th as they are very tightly grouped. Senegal and Sofia Vives, they're in front with Traffic Master, who steered clear of all the traffic indeed, and Traffic Master is now looming up. It's going to be too wide as they work towards the backstretch. At the rail there is Frizzante. Ground-saving Journey and Scat to Tap is more settled for Manny Franco in 4th. Just behind them, that's Strapped, and the red cap moving forward. Out in the clear is Melt With You, and the trailer, Weightless, 24.48 for that opening quarter mile. The leader is Senegal. Traffic Master is within a neck of the leader, and at the rail there's Frizzante. Now just waiting for room, is in the 3rd position, is shoved along now is Scat to Tap, who starts to move in closer. Out wider in the 3 path is Strapped, and Melt With You starts to move. And here comes Melt With You, Francisco Martinez, 49.56 for a half-mile time. And that mid-race move from Melt With You, who's taken 3rd, and Senegal and Traffic Master. These two continue to hook up here into that turn together. The trailer continues to be Weightless, and Senegal is still there. Senegal with the head in front. Traffic Master is all in towards the outside, and now here comes Frizzante from 3rd. Following that move is also Scat to Tap. They've got more clear running room now from 3rd and 4th. Also trying to run on is Strapped as Melt With You is stalling. They reach the top of the stretch. Senegal and Traffic Master. Traffic Master with a head in front. Traffic Master, but here comes Frizzante, and now Frizzante from just off the pace is sprinting clear. Also in the clear, here comes Strapped, and Strapped is rolling, and the red cap is lugging in, but Strapped has got all the momentum. Frizzante trying to put it away for a final 16th. Strapped and Ruben Silvera catching with every stride. Frizzante to the inside, Strapped to the outside. Frizzante very game. It's a photo. Looked like Frizzante held on over Strapped and Traffic Master, and Scat to Tap in 1 minute 53.05 seconds.
Frizzante holding off the 4 Strap, but we're going to need to look at what happened here down this stretch. Not where we expected Frizzante to be in this race.
Kendrick was extremely confident, and he felt to be right on that, because when he angled out, it looked like he got clear. But a horse that doesn't like to find the wire first found a long challenge in the end, and it just feels like, Jonathan, this horse who's in around the 4 path, would you say now, ends up in around the 10 path.
Well, look at that tractor mark right there that he's right on top of, and use that as a judge of how much he comes off of that by the time he's to wire. He was inside of it when I started talking, and now he ends up almost 3 or 4 paths inside of it even more. He's definitely drifting.
Yeah, I don't know. We need to see this. And he is the one 3 wide on the outside with a light blue cap. In the red cap with the black silks, that'll be the number 4 who'll come outside of him. Now, we don't know. There's not even an inquiry post at this point. We're just trying to find out if anything happened.
And Kendrick does go left-handed with the crop as he continues to come out.
But then he goes righty to correct him, to be fair. But now he comes out again.
Right there. Oh.
I'm going to be honest with you. And I didn't bet. I picked the 1. There's an inquiry. I would take this horse down. They probably won't.
Pretty damning.
But I would. This horse seemed to have all the momentum, Jonathan, to go by him.
Yeah, no.
And then suddenly he stalls when the other horse is coming out.
Yeah.
I would.
Carried him awfully wide, didn't he?
I would take this horse down.
One more look at it. And again, it's not going to help the rider's cause here that he's continually going with that left hand with that crop.
Especially when he shifts sticks in first. He'll shift sticks, and then he went back to the left. That's the thing. That to me, that's almost the most damning
Still
part,
at this
right?
point, probably okay, right? And then here we go again.
Yeah,
that's the worst of it.
This is. I would take this horse down. I'm not. I picked the 1. Like I said, I think he should come down.
I mean, I think this is, we've had a couple of inquiries on the show so far. I think what we just saw here in New York is significantly more of an issue than what we saw down at Tampa.
Well, especially because the 4 was looming up outside this horse like he's going to go by a horse who kind of likes to have somebody go by him, and it just seemed like his momentum was just completely held off. Listen, to be fair, if you're Kendrick Carmouche on the 1, you took your shot. The best way for him to win. If the 4 was going to go by, he got to the wire first. If they take him down, so be it. But if he hadn't herded, then he wasn't going to win the race. So maybe Kendrick's point is, if they leave me up, it's all the good. If they take me down, I wasn't going to win anyway. In fairness, that's...
Back to Tampa. We'll see what the stewards rule. In the Gasparilla, it's Dancing Magic with the win. Junior Alvarado, Michael Campbell with the victory. $9 for the win for this Daughter of Good Magic. Let's go to Acacia.
Here with winning rider Junior Alvarado taking the Gasparilla with Dancing Magic. A little bit of magic there in the stretch, Junior. You had some pace to run at, but your filly really finished nicely.
Yeah, she's a filly. She likes to finish, but it definitely helps when the pace is a little hard like today, I was very confident when I hit the 3 pole, I can feel that she was ready there for me. And then once I asked her, she started picking it up, I was just hoping the horse that was in the lead, didn't keep going. But, like I said, my filly, she just kept grinding it and she got the job done today.
And I know a special day for you. Your mom here at the racetrack with you. You said first time to the track for her.
Yeah, she doesn't like really to come. She never watched races. She always watched the replay after when I win. But, she's a little bit nervous watching races, so it was just very special to have her here today.
Really special to see her in the winner's circle with you. And could be a big afternoon coming up for you a little bit later on as well, as you'll be reunited with Nutella Fella in the 9th race, the horse you won the Grade 1 hopeful on. I saw Gary Contessa say he's just not a good gate horse. He's just one that comes from off of it. Any insight you can give us on that horse?
I just heard, he's been training good. I know, they've been, I keep looking at the workout. It seems like been working pretty solid, the last five works out. So I just hoping, we have a little bit pace to run at today. He's a horse, he's kind of like my style. We like to come running from behind, but hopefully, like I said, a little bit of pace might help us today. But, he looks kind of like the class of the race too.
Good to see him back and good to see you in the winner's circle with your family. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Greg?
Still waiting to see what
they're running in Saratoga? What's going on? We turn our heads. The next thing I know, they're up in Saratoga. We're here at Aqueduct.
Nutella Fella still to come for Junior Alvarado and that Grade 1 hopeful win. That was a shocker. Yeah, back in 2023 at 54-1. We're going to see him back after just that one start in the Woody Stevens last year. This has been going a while. Makes you think that there is going to be a change? And
I think there's supposed to be a change here, and it is still blinking. And I was saying to you guys off camera, if you're Kendrick, you're trying to win.
And you're saying he made the right move trying to win.
He's trying to win. And, I mean, the question you have to ask yourself is, do you think he went over the line? I just think, Kendrick, if you ride the 1 and you don't come out, the 4's going by you, you're going to leave it in the steward's hands. I don't know what happened.
He's trying to win, but also you think he should be DQ'd.
I do think he should be. I'm saying if I'm Kendrick, I'm thinking, well, I did everything I could to win the race, and now it's in the steward's hands. If I didn't drift like that, the 4 was going to win the race. That's my feeling.
I completely agree. I completely agree. I mean, you got to take your chance. You got to take your chance. Do what you got to do because the outcome is the same no matter what.
And I think the stewards have gotten more severe on herding. There was a time they didn't look, but I think since Victor came here especially, I feel as though they've been taking horses down that have done this. This was pretty egregious, wasn't it?
How many paths do you feel he carried that horse out?
I mean, at least 4.
Yeah.
And the margin in the end was not much.
And it's a horse that has that momentum, so you're taking away the momentum. Listen, I don't know about you guys. I played a lot of Gallop Racer, and I won quite a few big races in Gallop Racer by herding out there and not letting him go by me. Sometimes I feel like this is the same. Kendrick, definitely, in my opinion, now you want to call it race riding, that's fine, but I think he hindered this horse's move. I'm not. He's trying to win. His job is to try to win.
Stewards have announced there will be a change. Frazante taken down. Frazante taken down and Strap put up for the victory.
I'm sorry, Big Six players. If you used 4, you're in pretty good shape right now with nice prices. But I think the right call was made here by the stewards here.
Yeah.
Absolutely, John. And if I had bet the one, I would think that.
Yeah, no, I think you got to make the call in these situations. I think there's differences, though. I think there's certain things you'll see in the stretch that are dangerous and reckless. I don't think that was reckless. I think it was race riding gone, maybe just a taste too far in terms of interfering. But look, I'm glad if I had bet on the one, and I had a big bet on the one, or I'd single the one in the pick six or whatever it might be. That's exactly what I wanted Kendrick to do, because if he didn't do it, he was going to get beat anyways. Give me everything you have, please, and then leave it in the hands of the stewards.
I'd rather finish first the wire and take my chances. The stewards make what I think is a bad call than lose the race. So I'm not going to knock Hendrick here. He's trying to win.
No, not at all. 4-1, 7-2, change made, strapped 10-1. Going to spice up this pick six carryover quite a bit with an even money favorite being beat. We're going to show you what happened in stakes action earlier on the card before we came on the air in the ladies, where it looked like Hall of Fame trainer Todd Pletcher held all the cards, and in fact, he did. Stay with us. Back with you on our Saturday coverage here on America's Day at the Races, brought to you in part by legendary Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual unusually well. Let's get back to Tampa Bay Downs. And a maiden special weight here on the grass at 1 1/16 as we get a look at the two back to gridlock.
Yeah, you get Chad Brown, Irad Ortiz, and Clarvich Stable showing up at Tampa to run on the turf with a first-time turfer.
With no turf pedigree.
Usually doesn't matter for that barn. They win anyway. It's amazing.
Against them.
8-5 right now. Here's the Ford Lady Aberdeen.
A lot of opportunities at lower levels finally jumping on the turf. I don't think that's going to solve the problem.
Gregory Sacco. Runway Lights getting back to the grass.
This horse is an insane overlay at 14-1. Look at his last turf race. Those horses, Steel Loot, weighted average, they'd be 2-5 in this race. This horse should be a third of that price.
Derby Barbie for Eric Reed.
Yeah, hasn't done much running in the first 2 starts. There's a sprinkle of turf in there, but not enough to get this one to the wire.
It's a first-time starter here, Meekat.
Well, the Dam was a Grade 1 winner for Chad Brown. Won the Matriarch's a huge pedigree. I'm betting Meekat.
Flincher's Fancy, Jose Ferrer rides.
Those last 2 turf races aren't horrible if you're looking for someone to try to spice it up.
How is he 36-1?
How has Enchant not graduated? A couple of near misses, several, in fact, 3 of them in 5 starts.
I'm not sure this horse shouldn't be favored in here. It's just he doesn't win, but he runs consistently well enough to win.
Just one more. Christophe Clement changes barn from Horacio de Paz to Clement.
How funny would it be for Christophe to get his revenge today?
How do you not even mention this horse is a full to your favorite horse? It's a full to Voodoo song. And you just dismissed that. Very disrespectful.
Elite Status at 8-1 for John Terranova.
Yeah, I don't love the race this horse is coming out of, along with Just One More. I don't want those New York breds. I think horses like the 12 and the 9 are more likely winners.
Yeah, we skipped over Starship Boeing. Anthony Ferraro Barnes, 7-1 as well, draws in from the also eligible list. Let's go to Acacia for more.
And as they're moving towards the starting gate on the turf here, we'll start off with the Chad Brown runner that is trying the turf for the first time and back to gridlock. And this is a horse that just has had plenty of stops and starts in her races and comes back in here to try the turf, which I don't mind. She actually has a bit of a turf hoof to her and those slacker pasterns. The biggest thing for me is that she just is not carrying a lot of muscle mass or conditioning. She just has not strengthened at all. And especially coming back off the layoff, it's a little bit hard to take a horse physically from that perspective. Now, sometimes these lighter frame types, as we say, they do just have an easier type on the grass. I just really wish that she had a little bit more substance and muscle mass to her. But like I said, I do think she should handle the surface. I, like Andy, am very intrigued by the 7 Meekat out of Off Limits by Kitten's Joy. There's tons of turf pedigree in this one. She looks all turf. She's very fit for debut for Arnaud Delacour, who can certainly have a horse ready at first asking. Has had some workouts here at Tampa. Before that, preparing at Fair Hill, which I think always puts a lot of good miles into a horse coming in. For the 10, Just One More, yes, the full sister to Voodoo Song. She's a horse that was very sharp, and I'd actually written down on debut that she needed one mentally, and she has not really progressed mentally. She was really over the top, just doing too much here and getting herself really, really wound up. She did get warm, kind of typical of her and English Channel, just really kind of expending a lot more energy in the preliminaries than you'd like to see. And I wanted to give a quick mention to the 13 Elite Status. Unfortunately, has the far outside post to deal with here, but I thought really took to the turf last time and physically should handle it. Now gets a chance to try it again if she can work out a trip. Greg?
Yeah, 3rd career start for Elite Status and did show some ability, certainly on the grass, but a tough far outside post today for the 13.
Yeah, I don't like the race that horse comes out of the New York bred race. I'll be an anti-homer with this one. I prefer others in this race. Not that it's impossible. I think you're supposed to bet against the 2 here. This horse is being completely bet because it's Chad Brown and Irad Ortiz, and this horse was a disappointment in the dirt. They thought he had ability. Maybe he'll show the turf, but his pedigree does not suggest he's going to move up.
I'm shocked at 12 is 6-1. This horse has like 4 races that are arguably faster than anything else is running here. Bad post, though.
But still fast enough to win here.
And then Enchant, the 9, too. See if today's the day after 3 near misses. Let's go to Jason Beam for the 6 from Tampa.
And the race is on. Caught him in a pretty good line. Down toward the inside, Lady Aberdeen was out well. Here's Enchant, the gray, coming up to apply some pressure. Those 2 1-2 through that first 16th of a mile. Back to gridlocks just in behind them now, joint 3rd, along with Just One More. As they bend into the stretch, it's Lady Aberdeen and Sunny Leon, the leaders. Lady Aberdeen by the wire, length and a half in front of Enchant. Back to gridlock toward the inside, Just One More. They're right together, 3rd and 4th. Starship Boeing is 5th, going to be 3 wide into that first turn. It's down along the fence. Runway Lights cuts the corner from 6th. Derby Barbie's in amongst horses in 7th. All the way over to the inside for Elite Status from that outside draw. Is back 3rd last, though. Flincher's Fancy. And the first-timer Meekat is the trailer here, about 12 or 13 off the leader, who is Lady Aberdeen. Long shot Lady Aberdeen, 22 and 1/5 seconds for that opening quarter mile. Leads at a length and a half to Enchant, who's a clear second. It's 2 more back to Just One More. Back to gridlock. Irad has that one about 3.5 off the top, is 4th on the inside. Starship Boeing still 5th. Runway Light still 6th. Flincher's Fancy is 7th. It's 2.5 more to Derby Barbie. The 2 at the back, Elite Status, and still Meekat is the trailer. 46-1, so Lady Aberdeen takes this race into the far turn. The lead still just over a length. Enchant is second, a length and a half more. Back to Gridlock. Now putting a nose into that third spot. Just one more. Shadows that one to the outside. Starship Boeing is given the cue from back in 5th. Flincher's Fancy trying to run on as well. Lady Aberdeen, but here's Enchant right up alongside now. And Enchant coming up to level terms to Poconos in front. Back to Gridlock trying to work off the rail. Now comes out to the 3-path. Lady Aberdeen battles on. Flincher's Fancy's just in behind. A final furlong left to go. Enchant between horses back to Gridlock. Starship Boeing even on the scene. Starship Boeing and back to Gridlock. They're having their own little battle there between horses. Enchant, Flincher's Fancy up the inside. Enchant, Starship Boeing on the outside. Starship Boeing and Miguel Vasquez to win it here. Second was Enchant. Third, Flincher's Fancy. Fourth, back to Gridlock.
Starship Boeing crossing the wire first. A little bit of bumping down the stretch in this one.
I guess this is going to be National Inquiry Day. The 2 horses that should have been the first and second choices just finished 1-2 in this race, Jonathan, because they dramatically overbet connections here.
Yeah, I mean, it's an opportunity. I mean, look, Chad and Clarvich Stables are going to win, I would say, 3, 4, 5 races at Tampa with some nice turf horses throughout the winter and spring. But there's going to be some that are overbet like this one.
I don't think there's going to be an inquiry there. I don't think the 2 had a horse to stay in the hole. I can watch the head on. I don't think this horse did anything wrong.
You
like this horse?
Yeah. I mean, I think I picked the horse, but he was lugging in for sure.
Yeah, but I'm wondering if the 7 came out a little bit. We probably can't get the head on the stretch. I think the 2 was just dead empty. Got to the spot, just didn't have the horse to go through, and you can't fault IRAD.
Inquiry sign is up.
It's national. Here we go. We're watching on another channel. We're watching the head on.
There we go.
They're not taking this horse down. If anything, the 2 came out into him.
Yeah.
There will be no change here.
6-1.
No change in this race.
Starship Boeing. And Miguel Vasquez moving to the Anthony Ferrara barn for this victory. Yeah, looks like completely got knocked into. 12-9-8-2 unofficially. We'll make it official when we come back. We have the 7th ahead from Aqueduct as well. Stay with us. Post break next.
The brilliance of the legendary Arrowgate and the speed and stamina of the sire of sires, Uncle Mo. Introducing Petulante, the first son of Arrowgate to stand in New York after winning handily at first asking.
Petulante! He's got a kick here, and he's going to prove much the best.
He won or placed in all 7 of his lifetime starts, including the Grade 3 Salvatore Mile.
Petulante, Nimbus class, Petulante!
Petulante, now standing in New York. For information, visit IHDVStallions.com today.
Horse racing? Check. Weekly promotions? Got them. Huge payouts? You bet. With Naira Bets. Download the app today and bet on any track, anywhere, anytime with live HD horse races, betting tips and tutorials, expert picks, and more. You bet with Naira Bets. Join now for a new member bonus at NairaBets.com.
They come on for the finish in the Pilgrim Stakes. Annapolis by a head.
It is Annapolis in front. It is Annapolis to win the Coolmore Turf Mile.
Who's still a nose in front. Koru is lifting late as well. Better lucky than good at the rail. Better lucky than good. Koru, better lucky than good, wins the finale.
Welcome to Adelphi Racing Club's unparalleled partnership experience. Exclusive access to the backstretch at Belmont and Saratoga, premier accommodations on race day, and of course, experience excitement like no other. Contact us today to get a taste of the Adelphi difference.
Back on our Fox Sports 1 coverage. And back to New York at South Ozone Park for Aqueduct's 7th. And our post break coming up. By the way, no change back at Tampa Bay Downs. Thank you, Andy Serling. Going to start things off with the 2 has the rail. That's Bells Beach for Chad Brown with Manny Franco.
Yeah, obviously had a little bit of an issue in July. Didn't come back until November. Ran well enough. I think we'll take another step forward here. This is my pick in the race.
Patty Cakes went by, 6-time winner. His points is points. Brad Cox.
Yeah, I mean, this is another one who I think could run well. We talked about it pretty ad nauseum about December 27th being pretty good for the inside horses.
$1.3 million horse went by Pride's Crossing.
Yeah, this horse is getting bet way off the board here for connections that do ship here and win, though.
Next on stage, just a winner last out, big price.
Yeah, huge price, and deservedly so.
Brown Sugar Babe.
Yeah, I think Brown Sugar Babe is one of the horses to be here. Is a very generous 7-1 right now.
Dot Murray 65-1 here. Stamp of approval, another huge price.
Yeah, this horse is probably the speed, but might not matter.
2 back. Bernie takes charge. Had a big effort.
Absolutely, and didn't run horribly last time going the 9 furlongs.
Bay de Greats, Todd Pletcher, and Kendrick Carmouche, the 11.
I like this horse. This horse ran very well after breaking Sully last time with a wide trip. I like the cut back to a 1-turn mile, and I'm hoping today's the day.
So here's this big long shot who had a win last start, moving back to dirt. Next on stage, still in the paddock right now. On a runner who's been first or second in 9 of 15 starts with Ray Handel now. So we'll wait and see what the delay is.
More of a turf horse next on stage. This is a tough spot for this horse. It's a good race. I don't think anybody should be that short a price in here. And I mean, they're going crazy for the 5. And I know William Walden's had some horses run very, very well here, but I think this is too short a price.
You win first time out with a horse that costs that kind of money. Yeah, probably just going to take more attention. And there she is, Pride's Crossing. What are you seeing from this very expensive filly, Maggie?
Yeah, when it comes to next on stage, she just needed a saddle adjustment. Such a tiny filly. I'm sure Sofia Vives wanted the saddle up so it wouldn't slip back or slip forward and in the right position. But when it comes to Pride's Crossing, it's interesting. I know that they're having some trouble with the severe winter weather in Kentucky at Turfway Park, but they opt to ship her up here after she's been working well on the synthetic surface there off of this long layoff for Will Walden. And, typical of what we saw up in Saratoga, they had a lot of success, the barn, but their horses look the part too. And she certainly does here. Bright disposition coming back, looks incredibly fit, great coat to her. I like what I'm seeing from her, and I don't mind this extra furlong that she gets here after winning powerfully, albeit back in May of her 3-year-old season at the 7 furlong. So I think it is a natural progression for her. She does look ready, but as Andy said, I think this is a very tough and very interesting field. I'm apt to take number 2 in here. That is Bells Beach. I know she was soundly beaten by her stablemate Weigh the Wrist last time as the 4-5 favorite, but Weigh the Wrist was kind of this strange proposition going in because she only had 1 dirt race, and it was in a loaded field in the slop, going 2 turns, embroiled in a fast pace down at Churchill. Got an easier, not an easier field per se, but a lot less horses. So therefore, last time she really showed what she could do on a fast racetrack. And Bells Beach just didn't look as strong as you would like coming back off of a layoff. But that race has put her where she needs to be. I love the warm-up that I saw from her with Manny Franco aboard. I think this is the time that you want Bells Beach. As we'll take a look here at Brad Cox sending out number 4, Points is Points. Now, she was against the racetrack back on December 27th. She was 3 wide the whole way, taking a lot of kickback, and she kind of just honestly looked a bit green in the stretch as it was only her 2nd start, off a bit of a break too. Now she'll stretch out, and she definitely has a pedigree to say that she should be successful at this type of distance, and she looks it too. She's a bit longer and has that more even frame, so I think we'll see a better effort from Points is Points, 2nd off that bit of a bench, fair racetrack with a bit more ground, Greg.
All right, Maggie, thank you. 8-5 still on Pride's Crossing. Bells Beach, though, Chad Brown, Manny Franco from the rail. What are you expecting here at 3-1?
I think that you like that horse, me. I'll let you talk about it.
Yeah, just one of those situations where the horse showed some talent, ran well enough, obviously had a little bit of issue that led to a break from July all the way till November, and I thought ran well enough last time, was wide all the way around there, and just felt like one that was going to take another step forward in this spot.
Yeah, I think this horse is obviously a major player here. I think I picked her second. I prefer the 11 at a slightly better price, but I don't. They're same price right now. But I agree. I think she's very dangerous, and she'll have to horse weigh the risks. So looking forward to getting back to races because she finally got a dry dirt track. She looked like a stakes horse. See what happens. She comes back, and she was a little wide. The rail, the place to be. And speaking of that, the 4 points is points. This horse was 4 wide in the turn, dropped over towards the 2 to 3 path, though, but was a super gold rail. And I don't know how good she is, but she was against the track last time, Jonathan.
2 sprints now stretching out for points is points, the 4 for Brad Cox. Back to your 11, Fade to Gray. Been very good going a little bit longer.
But she didn't break last time. She got hung up 5 wide in the first turn, ended up about 3 wide, 4 wide in the second turn, made the first move into a race that kind of fell apart. Quick pace, bit of a trip. She's got one fast figure, albeit with the benefit of a bit of a bias. You said, Jonathan, I agree. She has to get a little faster, but I'm hoping her last race was an indication she's getting better, and I love this cut back to 1 turn. I'll take 4 to 1 on her.
She's drawn well to the outside, too, for what feels like kind of a grindy type, like one you don't want to get stopped, like the longer the better. She'll just be rolling on the outside, whether she's in the 3 or 4 path.
I agree with that.
Meanwhile, Bernie takes charge. That big performance 2 starts back. Was that just a one-off?
Well, I mean, she was wide. She, too, was wide right on top of that fast pace last time. I don't pick her because you can't pick everybody, but I think she's one of 7 or 8 that can win this race. It's a wide open race, and to be taking 8 to 5 in a second-time star that ran a reasonably fast race first time out, shipping in for a trainer, albeit who his horses have run extremely well when he's come here, I still think you're taking the worst of it in a race which is far more competitive than that.
Giving up a ton of experience to the rest of this field, no question. Pride's crossing the 5, 8 to 5 favorite, $1.3 million daughter of Quality Road. There she is stepping into the gate. She won it first asking at 7/8 of a mile. That was at Churchill with a different barn. Now with Will Walden.
These are connections to spend a lot of money on horses, and it doesn't, as with anybody, it doesn't always pan out.
Yeah, that is OXO Equine. See what happens here in start number 2 with a 5 set for the 7th. Chris Griffin the call.
And they're off a step slow is Fade to Gray. Next on stage, right out towards the front, it's Next on Stage. Who's got the early lead is joined to the outside here from Stamp of Approval. Also, Bernie Takes Charge is in the early mix, and down towards the inside, they're tightly bunched as Bell's Beach is going to push on through here at the rail. Is followed towards the outside here by Pride's Crossing is going to be in that early mix too with Fade to Gray. That's the front 6. Points is points as the Gray is now tugging as they are very tightly bunched. The back end of that leading group, that's Patty Cakes. Second to last, that's Dot Marie in the trailer. Brown Sugar Babe, 23-4 for a tepid opening quarter mile. Tightly bunched still as Bernie Takes Charge. Now lets it out a notch, and Bernie Takes Charge. And Romero Mirage are up by a full length. Towards the inside, Next on Stage has lost some ground as Pride's Crossing is now weaved through the field, and here comes Pride's Crossing is found second, and Pride's Crossing is ready to challenge through a 47-4 half-mile time. Fade to Gray is 3 wide. Next on Stage is back to 4th. Points is now in gear, is in the 5th position, progressing. In behind that rival comes Bell's Beach, who's off the rail, dropping back quickly with Stamp of Approval. Brown Sugar Babe starts to run from the back. Bernie Takes Charge is still there. Bernie Takes Charge, turns for home, is still in front, and kicks away again. Pride's Crossing has got to pick it up as Fade to Gray is the Gray out in the center of the racetrack, now rolling after this leader. Bernie Takes Charge is still very game and all heart towards the inside with a furlong left to go. Fade to Gray with every shot to run. Bernie Takes Charge down, and here out of nowhere, Next on Stage is re-rallying as well. Bernie Takes Charge, Next on Stage, and a big number. Bernie Takes Charge, Next on Stage, photo finish. 2 noses on the line, Bernie Takes Charge, and also right there Next on Stage, it was a photo for 3rd. Tight photos in today's 7th. Final running time, 1 minute 39.57 seconds.
Maybe Next on Stage, who was 33-1, or was it inside at 16-1?
Feels like the 10 may have held on. It's very close.
Still got that heat.
Didn't look
I'm
like the
not
10
sure if
from
there's
that
a
angle.
dead heat here, if it'll still keep it from being a carryover. I thought that there were 7 or 8 that could win, of which the 10 was one of them, and we mentioned before the race, the 6 was not in that list of that group of 10. My 11 looked like ginger ale top of the stretch and just could not finish down the stretch as the 2 and 4 were coming late, and I think the 4 got third.
That is very close.
Taking 8-5 on the 5 was crazy. Of course, looked like she had a ton.
I don't see how they're going. I mean, I guess if you had to pick one to be inside.
If I had to pick one to be inside, I don't think the 10 lost. I think it's either the 10 won or there's a dead heat.
And what do you think? How that
10 won it. 10 won it.
Okay, well, never mind. Then we won't have to talk about what we think would happen if there was a dead heat in terms of the picks.
10-6, 4-2, and yeah, again, this may be enough.
We're looking at a carryover tomorrow. I mean,
for a double carry, we'll see. Bernie takes charge, 16-1. Dominic Schettino, Romero Mirage.
Love Romero.
Had that huge performance. 2 starts back, hangs on to win by a whisker here in the 7th.
Gets it done. Good job.
So 16-1 over 33-1 over 10-1. We'll have the prices for you when we come back with more from Aqueduct in Tampa Bay. Stay tuned. Back with you on our Fox Sports 1 coverage. And a huge upset, almost a lot bigger than 16-1. This Bernie takes charge just holding off a 33-1 shot. Romero Mirage for Dominic Schettino here. 4th career win for this 4-year-old filly. And she's game down the stretch.
She really was. And tough loss to 6. We're showing, I think, the 6 connections on the other TV. It's funny, I'm looking. But good credit for Dominic. Nice win there. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. If you're not paying attention, if you're not noticing that Romero Mirage is a very effective rider, and this is a winter that he really should get some opportunities out there, because one thing about him, he gives a good ride when he rides. I'm a fan.
He's starting to visit that winner's circle quite a bit. 10-6, 4-2. And now a couple of very big numbers in what was already a pick 6 carryover. You see the dollar pick 3, $542. Seems hard to believe we're not going to be heading for a double pick 6 carryover.
First winner paid $950, so you're talking about, $2,700, $2,600 in the parlay there. A tough race here. Maybe it's hanging by a string with the 10 being single in the last. I suppose if a semi-logical horse wins here, the 10 could be covered in the last. We'll see.
Seems tough, though.
Yeah. Just hard to put together.
Back to Tampa Bay, Wayward Lass still to come. Third of 3 stakes on our coverage. Mile and a 16th for fillies and mares, 4 and up, and this is one of the contenders from the inside post. We'll have the post parade next.
Seize the Gray wins convincingly.
Seize the Gray. He's going to seize the day in the Pennsylvania Derby.
Seize the Gray is still there. Seize the Gray wins the Preakness.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than americasbestracing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. americasbestracing.net is a sport for you.
Connect, a Grade 1 winning millionaire, making his mark as a sire. With Rattle and Roll, a Grade 1 winning 2-year-old. Graded Stakes winners, Whitwater's Rand. Implicated. And Apple Picker. Connect, a proven sire in the making, standing at Lane's End Farm.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Back with you and back to Tampa Bay. Race 7, this Wayward Lass at a mile and a 16. Fillies, mares, 4 and up. And favoritism to the one we'll see first. Assuming they go in order, and they do. Rudolph Brissett with one who has ability to be in front from that inside post, although some quickers to the outside.
Yeah, I don't love the last race. Obviously a contender, and there was some moisture in the track last time. But with Irad Ortiz, you're just taking the worst of it with the price.
Dream Concert quick as well, and will be stretching out the 2 at 14-1.
Last 4 races at 7 furlongs make me think that this one doesn't want more ground.
For Kathleen O'Connell, long look at the 6-5 favorite.
I believe the Wayward Lass was a Flying Z horse that Jose Martin trained.
There is Dream Concert. 3 starts with the blinkers, taking them off today, and we'll try and get longer than she's been in a while. Here's the 3, Abundancia.
1 fast fig, the rest a little slow, but not terrible.
American Retro, Ian Wilkes.
Yeah, has been running on the turf, but has some nice dirt races.
Only 1 dirt try for Literate, and has been successful. Well,
nah.
say successful, but
seems to be
okay figures.
Better on synthetic, and the pedigree makes me think this is probably more of a synthetic horse.
7 horse, easy come, easy go.
That's probably what you'll say about your money if you bet this horse, though. Not that terrible for a 14-1.
Little Jamie, graded stakes placed for Robert Medina.
Yeah, has tactical speeds, drawn well towards the outside. I thought this horse ran extremely well last time. I'll take this 5-1 that they're offering at the moment.
And then 31-1 outside, America's Vow.
I'm with Jonathan on the 8 horse. I thought this horse was too slow. That's the one, has that win at Saratoga, the 9. That was the race where there was a massive incident at the start and all that. Remember the race? Amos's horse was involved, and there was another horse. I think you were on the set for it. There was a lot of discussion about it.
Yes, I do. It was quite a bit of
quite a
discussion.
day. But I'm with Jonathan. I think little Jamie is an overlay.
Even money on this one here. Peignoir, Rudolph Brissett. Arad Ortiz Jr. again is aboard. It's getting awfully short on the board.
To be fair, the horse ran a couple of good figures when they moved up last time, though the horse was terrible. Now they're in a stake here. It's not as tough, but doesn't this horse's last bother you a little, Jonathan?
Yeah, I mean, the racetrack looked like it had some moisture in it, so it was listed as wet fast or whatever, so maybe there's a little bit of...
But it wasn't sealed.
Yeah, so maybe there's something about that. I'm trying to make an excuse for why, but it makes sense. This horse is the favorite. I'm not crazy about the post. I don't think the horse has a ton of speed to be able to hold that position. Could end up kind of getting shuffled back out of there. And then historically, the rail is not necessarily where you would pick to be at Tampa Bay.
Minute to post in this Wayward Lass. Let's go to Acacia.
And starting there with Peignoir, she does look to be the class of the field in here, and certainly has the pedigree for it. Out of a mare is the sister to Grade 1 winner I'm a Chatterbox. And reading quotes from her trainer, Rudolph Brissett, saying that when she did win 2 starts back and then bringing her right back into the Fall City just 20 days later, he said, just ran her back too quickly and it seemed to catch up with her. So now that she's been given a freshening, apparently she's training better, coming back stronger into this. Just a little bit smaller than I was anticipating seeing. Very switched off, though, very laid back. We know certainly the distance is not going to be any problem for her. And she was facing very tough company last time out. Do agree with Jonathan, drawn down to the inside. We'll see how she can navigate it. But she does have some natural speed, and she often seems to break running, which should hopefully put her in the right spot. The number 8, Little Jamie, though, physically was the one that I actually thought looked the best. And we'll see what that means, that all of us do like her. I know she's not necessarily a winning type, at least lately, but I think that she has been facing some good company. She broke really sharply last time out and set the pace, and that was with the first start with the blinkers back on, and ended up kind of flattening for 3rd in there, but I thought really seemed to be touting herself nicely, and prior to that was running in stakes company. She too has had a little bit of a freshening. Like I said, she really just caught my eye from a physical perspective as well. Now the number 3, Abundancia, we last saw her finishing 3rd in the treasure chest last time out. I know that she has a little bit of some dirtied up form. She did finish 3rd behind Free Like a Girl, who we covered a bit at Oaklawn last year, really overachieving Louisiana bred, who did come back to win a stake with a 77 buyer speed figure in her subsequent start. I didn't think it was the best trip for this filly. Abundancia last time out was 4 wide throughout, wide late 2, and ended up just kind of missing and never really able to save any ground. She's massive. She should love more distance in here today. So we'll see how she handles. And then finally the 4, American Retro, one who physically looks like she wants long on the dirt, and that's what she gets back to doing today for Ian Wilkes. But I think a really fun and exciting race coming up here, much beyond that 4 to 5 on your favorite, Greg.
All right, Acacia, thank you. See how this plays out coming up. Wayward Lass, 3rd of 3 stakes on our Saturday coverage from Tampa. Jason Beam, the call. Peignoir from the inside post, 4 to 5 favorite with Arad Ortiz Jr.
Our final stakes on the afternoon. America's Vow, Hector Diaz Jr. to complete the line. Goes in. They're in the gate. And the race is on. Good start for Dream Concert, who sprints out to the early advantage. Peignoir is flashing some early speed. Easy come, easy go. American Retro right there in the next flight as well. But it is going to be Dream Concert and Jose Batista to take him into that first turn. A wall of 4 just in behind. Peignoir toward the inside. Easy come, easy go between horses American Retro. And way out wide there, America's Vow, 4 deep as they go into that turn. Then comes a lineup of 3 at the back. Abundancia, Little Jamie out wide, and Literates between horses. But only about 5 lengths cover the group as they work toward the back stretch. With 6 furlongs to go, it's Dream Concert. 23 and 4, the opening fraction. Dream Concert there, 3/4 of a length. The easy come, easy goes now up to second. Back to third goes Peignoir, who's joined by America's Vow on the outside. Right between them comes American Retro, who's fifth in the yellow cap. It's a length more back to that same lineup of three. Little Jamie, Literate, and Abundancia. Still just 4.5 or 5 cover the group as they have a half mile left to go in the Wayward Lass Stakes. Dream Concert's made every yard thus far. Set that opening half mile of 47 3/5 seconds. They run to the far turn. Dream Concert there by a length. Easy come, easy go. America's Vow pushed on. Peignoir stays toward the inside from fourth, 2.5 off the leader. Little Jamie is starting to lift, is moving up from fifth. It's 3 or 4 wide, but is gaining on the far outside. Dream Concert still the target. Peignoir looking for a seam. Little Jamie up on the outside, trying to get there first as they come to the quarter pole. It's Dream Concert. Little Jamie on the outside. Peignoir trying to get through down along the fence, is having to wait right now. There's no seam. Peignoir trying to get through, is going to have to shift to the outside. Little Jamie comes up alongside of Dream Concert at the 8th pole. Peignoir wheels toward the outside with American Retro. A final 16th to go. Little Jamie just in front. Dream Concert, a stubborn foe down along the inside. Peignoir and American Retro, but Little Jamie in front. Junior Alvarado, Little Jamie to win the Wayward Lass. It's a 3-horse photo there for second between Peignoir, American Retro, and Dream Concert.
It's the 8, Little Jamie. Another one for Junior Alvarado. Bobby Medina.
They all want to bet Irad Ortiz, and Junior Alvarado seems to be racking up some wins here. Just made a big wide move in the turn. Looked like she was going to hang a little, Jonathan, and she was carrying us at this point, but she still managed to prevail.
Yeah, Irad just couldn't get out of that spot with a 1. He just kind of stuck down in there and ended up getting out a little bit too late. I'd like to have seen how the race would have unfolded if he would have got a little bit out of there to get a clear run. It would have been a little bit closer,
Maybe.
I think. But the 8 ran extremely well.
And the 8 was so much wider, covered so much more ground. I'm going to say the 1 was overbet.
But sometimes what happens in these situations is you look back at a race like Peignoir's, and when they come back, you think, oh, that horse had a tough trip, was stuck down on the inside. But it was a tough trip late, but it was a great trip early, saving all that ground.
I'm going to say the most important thing that's happened in this race is that Jonathan's extremely excited that he knows how to pronounce the 1's name. It's got a little French in there, and you're trying to show off for me. I know what's going on here.
I got to tell you, when I said it, I said, I sure hope I said that right.
And you nailed it. Little Jamie with a victory, 9-2 in the Wayward Lass. These prices when we return. We still have the 2023 hopeful winner from Saratoga, Nutella Fella, on tap in race 9. Stay with us. Back on our Saturday coverage here on Fox Sports 1, brought to you in part where you can play it all at Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. We're in a Pick 6 carryover that's looking very much like it could be a 2-day Pick 6 carryover into the Sunday card. See what happens in these final 2 races on the card. This 8th race, 6 furlongs. And a New York bred first level allowance race stopped the spread, not without a chance at a massive price.
The most interesting thing about this horse is he ran at Finger Lakes, Churchill Downs, and back to Finger Lakes in his next start. That is a swing you don't see too often.
He has it all. Romero Mirage. Can he do it again?
Yeah, got the win last time, getting away from New York breds.
Beating Ray Handel.
Yeah, absolutely.
On the Hill went by for Jimmy Bond off a win. Boss 302 for Rick Dutrow Jr.
Yeah, this is the one that I want in here. I felt like this horse ran extremely well first time out. Hasn't been seen since April, which makes me think there's an issue.
News. I like him too.
But I think the horse can run because he ran well fresh last time.
Gray Wing, the favorite, went by.
It's the horse to beat off his last race.
Courageous Ola, 33-1.
I mean, not horrible. In all fairness, does not deserve to be 32-1.
A lot of speed, this horse
Kid
has.
Billy was a neck behind Gray Wing last start.
Yeah, another one that's a little bit sneaky, has those numbers just kind of knocking on the door, does need to run a tad bit faster.
Another price with a bit of a shot at 15-1. I got busted.
Horse's ability, both these horses have a lot of speed, though. This should be a fast pace here.
44-1. This is collected special Rudy Rodriguez.
Yeah, the 6 should not be 34-1. This horse makes sense at 45-1.
Another player, Trelad at 13-1.
I agree. This horse is definitely a player. It does worry me, though. He ran much worse at Aqueduct than he ran at Finger Lakes.
Heavyweight champs. He's got the one race that's probably better than anyone. He hasn't backed it up, though.
It's on a gold rail, though.
Yeah, gets a chance to get the Lasix back here. See if that can help.
And Messi, the magician, outside post.
I don't even think Messi, the magician, could get this horse home.
As good as he is.
That's
a
soccer reference.
Indeed.
I was right on top of that.
You're all over it. Yeah, 41-1.
It was soccer.
We got to get you to Miami. Post time coming up for the 8th. Let's go downstairs to Maggie.
Well, as the guys hinted at, this race is littered with speed types, as one that I think could benefit from that is also coming back off of a layoff, and that's number 4 in here, Boss 302 for Rick Dutrow. I know Rick might not have the best of numbers with these types of layoffs, but sometimes that's reflective in what I see from them physically. Not the case with Boss 302. He looks really fit, and he's also filled out and just become more developed now, early 4-year-old, stronger overall, and just had a really great presence and disposition back in the paddock. So I do think he'll get an ideal type of setup here, and he looks ready to go. So we'll move on to some of those aforementioned speed types who are also coming off of layoffs, including number 11, Trelad. Actually, he's not a speed type. I was just kidding. I'll get to another speed type. But does exit a race at Finger Lakes, which a stakes race, which featured some pretty nice New York breds, including Jack and Bernie, who would go on to win his next start with a 92 and then post a 92 again in his Saratoga try with a heartbreak defeat. But Trelad, he kind of weaved in between horses, and Jack and Bernie was able to wire the field that day. He continued forward progress. But the only other time I'd seen him, which was back on December 30th of 2023, he was just stronger looking, and he wasn't coming off of a layoff that day. He just looks a little bit lean. And while he's a horse that can be a bit nervous, he wears those cheater cut blinkers with a hood attached to kind of keep him at bay and keep those nerves in check. And it actually has worked well today. He's a lot more calm than what I had seen from him. But again, he just gives the impression like he'll need one end. We'll see, though, he might get the right kind of setup, too. Now, heavyweight champs, he's a speed type on the outside. As you guys said, do we trust him? Because he's a bit of a one-figure type. He hasn't grown much, but at least he's filled out, and he does look really ready for this return to the races here for Rudy Rodriguez. So we'll see what kind of trip he's able to pull from the far outside. But, guys, this is a fun race that we have here going postward for the 8th.
It is. There are a lot of ways to go, it seems like, in this race. I'm with you. Should anybody be 2-1 in here? It doesn't seem like it.
No, and I don't have any problem with that horse. That horse makes a lot of sense in here. But 2-1 is tough to take in this field. I think the 8 is also an interesting horse. We all like the 4, which is not going to work out well, but we do like the 4, and I think the 8.
I don't know. I mean, Rick Dutrow obviously is firing on all cylinders, and this horse had a race early in the 3-year-old. Yeah, early in the 3-year-old year, they got a number that was competitive what these horses have been running as of late.
That one again, the 11, Trelad.
Not impossible.
12 of 16 starts, first or second. That one's intriguing, but off the bench, hasn't been seen since May.
But the horse is a huge price, so, you know, I mean, you don't have to worry about those things if you like the horse at all at that kind of price. That's the only thing you know what I mean? Price compensates for a lot.
Competitive 8th on this Pick 6 carryover Saturday. Let's go to Chris Griffin.
Messi, the Magician. Goes in, all set. And they're off. Hard set there as I got busted in between horses right up towards the front and plenty of company. Collected specials in that mix. There's Gray Wing in between horses. Courageous Ola. They are lined up now 4 wide, 5 and 6 wide joining them. Messi the Magician on the far outside. Heavyweight champs. It's a scramble on for the front end. Back in behind this leading group. Starting to move forward there is On the Hill. Kid Billy starts a rally from the back of the pack through a 22.61 pressured opening quarter mile. Towards the back end of the field, He Has It All is at the rail trying to make up some ground with Boss 302. The 2 at the back stop the spread with the trailer far back early, Trelad. The leader is Gray Wing. Had that company, but now shrugs off the company, and Gray Wing is just doing it nicely. Cruising to the quarter pole. Gray Wing and Dylan Davis, they're up by 2. 3 widening lengths, and here in pursuit, that's Messi the Magician out in the center of the racetrack is chasing the leader. Gray Wing is in front. Messi the Magician is making up some mild ground here on the far grandstand side. There's On the Hill rolling. Is right there is Kid Billy 2. It is Gray Wing, though, with a comfortable margin so far with the 16th left to go. Can On the Hill get there? Gray Wing is almost home. Gray Wing wins it. Gray Wing over On the Hill, then Kid Billy, and He Has It All. Rallies for 4th in 1 minute 12.29 seconds.
Dylan Davis on a weekend back after moving his tack to Florida. Gets the win here for Chris Engelhardt.
Sure seemed like a lot more speed than we ended up seeing in this race, and Dylan was able to clear and get there. This race was about a third of a second slower than those 3-year-old maidens ran earlier today. And this horse ran pretty well, suggesting that race was pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, look, at the top of the stretch, it was just about how far. I mean, he got comfortable on the front end, and it's just a reminder every time you need one that getting to the front end in dirt races is a huge edge.
But the 8 was unlucky. The 3 made a nice run at the end, but the 8, we believe, had some significant trouble when the 6 stumbled at the start that put him way farther back, and he made a big middle move. He might have been the unluckiest one of all, the 8.
Yeah, slow out of the gate and then just gets shut off and squeezed. We'll show it to you coming up. Keep your eyes post-8, Kid Billy.
The 6 inside of the 8, 7 was scratched. 6 stumbled, came out. He broke a step so, like you said, and shut him off. A little unlucky there, the 8. Probably could see it's probably worse if you look at the pan.
In the end, 2-1 favorite, Gray Wing. Takes advantage, Dylan Davis, Chris Engelhardt, and a 7-year-old gets his 6th career win.
So will the 10 be covered in the Big 6? What do you think, Jack A?
This helps.
I think so.
This helps.
Yeah, I think so.
But I'm going to say no. I'm going to say nobody's covered.
5-3-8-2. Now our bets offer wagering on that?
You can bet up to $5 with me if you like. You, Kinchin, you can.
Little Jamie.
Greg can bet.
Your winner of the Wayward Lass with the win, Junior Alvarado, Robert Medina, J&J Stables. Let's go to Acacia.
Well, we saw little Jamie taking the Wayward Lass, and I'm very happy to be joined by winning owner John Williams, along with Jamie Williams Johnson, the namesake as well. How cool was that to see your namesake winning a stake?
It was so awesome. I'm just so happy to be here.
And what a nice performance from her too, John. She's been knocking on the door and getting a chance to see her breakthrough today.
Yeah, it was great, especially having her win in Tampa where we live. It was awesome. Yeah, and I think Robbie did a great job getting her ready, and certainly Junior did a fantastic job, especially coming down the stretch when she got pushed a little bit. I think she responded quite well. So yeah, we're super excited, and yeah, what a place to have the win.
Beautiful day for it. The sun is shining now, and yeah, she was even still kind of fired up a little bit coming back into the winner's circle. You can tell that she's a filly with a strong constitution as well.
Absolutely, she was fired up in the paddock, and when she got the win, I think she still wanted to keep running. So, anyway, we're so excited to be here and celebrate the win. But yeah, awesome day. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Certainly was an awesome day. And Jamie, as you said, pretty exciting watching your namesake. Were there nervous moments before too? Because that's a lot of pressure with a horse named after you, and then to get her to deliver like that.
It was. I closed my eyes a little bit and prayed, and it seemed to work. So
it certainly did. Well, congratulations, Jais. Enjoy it.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you.
Greg.
Nice performance, and you win on big days in a stake. It feels extra special,
especially the horse is named after you. That's kind of cool.
There's a lot of different ways to win in racing, but winning on Saturdays has a different feel, right? This is the biggest day where people are out, and then to win a stakes race goes a long way as well.
Still have 2023 hopeful winner, Nutella Fella, to come.
Too bad against.
We will see him in the 9th. First up, back on the grass in the 8th at 1 1/8. We'll get to that in a moment. Let's get to Grey Wings' victory at Aqueduct. Dylan Davis, Chris Engelhart, 7-year-old son of Graydar with the 6th win of his career and his first win at Aqueduct in 7 tries.
Hey, look, he was good last time. He had hinted to a performance potentially like this. And there were some other interesting horses in the race. Is probably why he drifted up in price. He was without a doubt the horse to beat, and he proved that on the racetrack.
I have little to add to that. I just don't know how he was able to clear in a fairly moderate pace, but he was.
So Dylan Davis coming off a career year, really a career-changing summer at Saratoga. In town, because he's moved his tack to South Florida and pays off here with a win with Grey Wing.
No question about it. No question about it.
$16.4 million in earnings for Dylan last year. Career best. But the NYRA circuit victories as well.
And it looks like I'm wrong about the pick 6 because everybody but the 1, 2, 3, 7, and 9, and 12. So the horses that are covered are the 4, 5, 6, 10, 11. Probably going to get hit.
You can owe me.
You didn't bet. You got an opportunity to take my money, and you didn't want to. I don't know what's wrong with you.
5-3-8 finish in that 8th at Aqueduct. We'll have the nightcap to come, and more from Tampa Bay on the way as well. Again, on the grass in race 8, and then we'll see Nutella Fella, hopeful winner from 2023 in that night. Stay tuned.
Bright future indeed. Bright future, the son of Curlin to win by 4. Bright future, Proxy, here's the line. Photo finish, Bright future.
Bright future, look at that. Bright future, the class prevails.
Bright future, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Horse racing? Check. Weekly promotions? Got them. Huge payouts? You bet. With NYRA Bets. Download the app today and bet on any track, anywhere, anytime with live HD horse races, betting tips and tutorials, expert picks, and more. You bet with NYRA Bets. Join now for a new member bonus at nyrabets.com.
Jackie's Warrior quickly in front here by 2 lengths. Here comes Jackie's Warrior up the inside to take over the lead from Life is Good. Jackie's Warrior remains undefeated here at Saratoga, and he wins an unprecedented Grade 1 stakes at the Spa for the 3rd straight season.
What's at stake? $1 million purse. Oaklawn Stakes races are where horses step out of the shadows and into the spotlight, and where Triple Crown dreams begin. The Southwest Stakes is coming. It's the race where the legend of Mystic Dan began.
Mystic Dan is turning it on.
And it's back and bigger than ever. Big crowds, big names, and a big old payday.
Mystic Dan, a dominant win.
This is your Oaklawn.
Good to have you with us on our Saturday coverage on Fox Sports 1. You're watching America's Day of the Races. More from Tampa Bay Downs on the way, and the nightcap still ahead from Aqueduct as well. Earlier on the card, before we came on the air, Ladies Stakes, where Todd Pletcher had the 2 mares to beat in the race, but it was all about Tizzy in the Sky. She dominated.
And I'm going to tell you something. I know she got a pretty good trip here. Kendrick was allowed the 4 to the lead. This filly's getting, mare now, I guess, is getting pretty good. This is a nice effort by her, especially the 1 1/8. She's okay, Jonathan.
Yeah, she had tried deeper waters earlier this year. It didn't work out, but you know, she's got a chance to keep going in the right direction. She's tactical, and she used that today to beat her stablemate in Julia Shining, who we know is a horse that is just going to be ridden the entire race.
Yeah, she had to get put in the race. And the Ladies is one of the oldest races in America. I'm not sure it's not the oldest stake run in America. That and the Alabama are right up there. And believe it or not, this was a Grade 1. Another race that fell by the wayside a lot with the Breeders' Cup and those situations, but I can remember late 80s, early 90s, a 14-horse field in late November going 1.25 miles at Aqueduct in the Grade 1 Ladies.
Well, Tizzy in the Sky coming off a Grade 3 victory, go for 1 at a mile. Backs it up now with this 1 1/8 win in the Ladies, and just in exceptional form. 6 wins now, 4 runner-ups in 14 starts, but really at her peak, seems like right now for Pletcher.
No, she's in great form. It'll be interesting to see what Todd does with her. She's really gotten good.
Let's get back to Tampa. Again on the turf, 1 1/8 in this 8th race next on the card. This first level allowance condition. Here's Aquilina. Arnaud Delacour trains.
Well, she's okay, to be honest. Her last race is all right. The problem is they all have a monster they may have to, or a horse is going to be very tough to beat.
And that would be this one. Shade of Pale, Peter Brand owns. Chad Brown trains. Or Ortiz Jr. rides.
Way over her head last time when she didn't run that badly. And I thought she had a nice maiden win, a little bit against it, 2 races back. She's way the worst to beat.
Dreaming of ABBA, Kathleen O'Connell.
She won well enough in her last 3 starts. Maybe the added distance will help her.
At midnight, Michael Campbell Barn, Junior Alvarado trying to add another.
Yeah, I just thought she was a little bit too slow and a little on the cheaper side for these.
Mama Bella, Jose D'Angelo, another try at the condition.
Listen, she's another horse who has absolutely no speed, and she's on the fringe of being competitive.
Our flag flying, big price.
Yeah, she's got a little bit of tactical speed. That's her only weapon here. She's going to need it.
And this one tries to use speed as well. Sing along, Kayla.
Well, she was helped by the fact the 6 got scratched in here. She could be the main speed. Should be.
Seat at the table, coming off her 2nd win.
Yeah, another one who's got a little bit of tactical speed as well. You'd like to think would try to take advantage of that in this 1 1/8 race.
So that's your field, all trying to beat the 3-horse Shade of Pale, who will show you in action coming out of a Grade 2. This was the maiden win, September 15th, Belmont at Aqueduct.
This was a day, now this is a time when the rail was a very good place to be. Now Manny gave her a good ride and the pace was pretty strong, but I thought she ran extremely well and really it improved in there. They put her in a stake. She was 12 to 1 last time. If it wasn't Chad Brown and Irad, she'd have been 112 to 1 in that race. And I don't think she even ran that badly. She may just be better than these horses.
Yeah, it feels like that's what we're dealing with here. A horse is just better. I don't, she doesn't feel like the type that's going to show up in the Alabama next year or anything like that. Or not the Alabama, excuse me, in the Diana at any point. But she's just one that she's right there. She's kind of shows up and runs her race basically every time. And I think she's probably found a group that's probably more to her liking.
I agree.
Those colors, these connections, and that price, Acacia, is this race already over?
Very well could be. And we've seen those colors and those connections be very effective on the turf here at Tampa as well. Now, as far as this filly is concerned, as you guys just saw there with Shade of Pale, Irad Ortiz gave her an aggressive warm-up, took her right away from the pony, really kind of got her legs stretched out there, which I appreciate because she is one that, yes, I know that she stumbled last time out, but she's one that typically comes from off the pace. She won at 9 furlongs 2 starts back, which just from her physical perspective, I had always questioned a little bit if distance was really what she wanted, but the pedigree really came through in that. She is so tiny, she's so compact and short coupled. She's kind of built more like a sprinter physique even. But now coming back in the first start of her 4-year-old season, she has become a bit more athletic. So maybe she is just better than these. A couple of horses coming out of a local race at Tampa, starting with the 4 Dreaming of ABBA. This is one who actually broke pretty sharp last time, and she looked to me watching that replay like she was never really comfortable. She was pretty washy and hot on her neck. She got a little bit keen. She was wide. She never was really able to get into stride, and she'd shown some tactical speed prior to that and running some good races for Kathleen O'Connell. Physically, I love what I see from her today. Obviously, it's pretty cool at Tampa for Florida standards, but she is very relaxed, great in her coat and in her weight, and she looks like she suits these conditions quite well, as she will stretch out in here. But the number 9, Sing Along Kayla, I think she does have a tactical advantage. She kind of leaped up at the start last time out, and she still got out to the lead and was holding on clear. She got caught late, which I really don't love, because she looked like she was comfortable doing it when going a mile. How will she be able to extend that speed going the mile in an 1/8 today as well? So that is a little bit more of the question too. But again, tactically, she will likely go out to the front and try to take them every step of the way. We'll see if she can last the distance, Greg.
All right, Acacia, thank you. Now 2-5, Shade of Pale, with just a minute to post, and we're going to be signing off on our FS1 coverage here in just a moment. We're going to pick things up and show you the completion of our coverage over on FS2 as soon as we sign off here. Coming up next on FS1, it's men's college hoops with Xavier at DePaul.
Who do you like?
I like the road team.
Good call. Jonathan just learned where DePaul is. So it's been a learning
Right.
experience
I said
today's
it's
show.
in Chicago, right? I was just looking for confirmation.
He missed the heyday of DePaul. He's not
They
old like
were
we are.
incredible back in the day.
When they lost in
Joey
the first
Meyer,
round with Terry
Ray
Cummings
Meyer.
and Mark Aguirre.
Oh, my gosh. Loaded back in the day. Again, you can see the remaining coverage over on FS2. Do not miss it. We'll have this 8th from Tampa Bay, Nutella Fella still to come. Hopeful winner from 2023 over on that FS2 coverage. Again, up next on FS1, men's college hoops, Xavier at DePaul. Good to be with you on our Fox Sports 2 coverage. You're watching America's Day at the Races. It's brought to you in part by America's Best Racing, for the love of the race. Visit americasbestracing.net today. Greg Wolf, Andy Sterling, Jonathan Kinchin with you as we get set for more action from Tampa Bay Downs coming up. 3 stakes we've already had earlier in the day. Grade 1 winner from the Hopeful still ahead, with Nutella Fellow returning after just 1 start in his 3-year-old campaign, but he ran a huge effort in defeat in a Grade 1.
Yeah, it's a funny situation, I think, for guys like us, Jonathan. We're sort of salivating and betting against him, and not that he hasn't shown some ability, but he has probably been in the 2 fastest-paced meltdowns we've run in New York over the last 2-year period, and now he's in a race where there was no speed to begin with, and the only speed scratched.
Yeah, and both those races happen to be Grade 1s, which kind of dresses him up a little bit more. Yeah. Now, look, he might just be better than these horses, but at the price he's likely to go off at is where the problem lies.
Right. He is running against some good horses, no doubt about it. I thought the alternatives were the horse on the rail, the 1 and the 7 as well.
Before we get to that, it's race 8, mile and an 1/8 on the grass. Fillies and mares 4 and up in this first allowance condition race, and the most dominant connections in the game. Chad Brown, around Ortiz Jr., and owner Peter Brand here with Shade of Pale, 3-5 favoritism, and a filly dropping out of a Grade 2 to a first allowance condition race. That is a huge drop in class. You can play this race, all the action, by getting signed up with Naira Bets. Bonus 200, that code to use and sign up.
And it is one of my favorite names. If you don't love a lighter shade of pale, you just have no musical taste whatsoever.
Andy gets very...
I love that song.
Jonathan doesn't even know what that song is.
You don't know that? Procol Harum?
No, I've got
it's
no
a lighter
clue.
shade of pale?
Not a
oh,
clue.
my God.
It's amazing. I didn't know who an artist was from Andy Sterling. He took my brand new iPhone, smashed it on the floor at Saratoga.
It was a bar.
And Jonathan doesn't even know who you're talking about, and you just give him a look.
Well, you didn't know Warren Zevon. I mean, I'm sorry, Greg. You know, I mean, if I hadn't done it, Joe Docker
I got the full Andy Sterling treatment.
Lighter shade of pale. The best song they used to play is the lights came on during Dead shows after the concert was over. For anyone who went to a lot of Dead shows, as I did, they know that about
by the way.
Yeah, that's true. Mike Joyce played a role in that, I think. He didn't defend you the way he should have, like a real friend would have.
3-5 favorite here. Shade of Pale, Arad Ortiz Jr. DQ'd out of a win earlier in a stakes race in the Pasco. See if he can get on the board with a victory in this 8th. Jason Beam, the call.
Seat at the table, Antonio Gallardo to the outside draw. Goes in. They're in the gate. And the race is on. Dreaming of ABBA showing some good early speed. That one's inside. Shade of Pale is forwardly placed. And also moving up to the outside goes Sing Along Kayla. It's going to be Sing Along Kayla to assume command after a 16th of a mile. Dreaming of ABBA now back second on the outside. Seat at the table is third. Down to the fence, Aquilita fourth as they come toward the top of the stretch for the first time here. It's going to be Sing Along Kayla and Jose Ferrer to set the pace. Sing Along Kayla length and a half to Dreaming of ABBA. A seat at the table away third. Out wide, Our Flag Flying is fourth. Down to the inside, Aquilita fifth. Between them, Mama Bella sixth in the orange cap. Length and a half more back to Shade of Pale, who settles down second last. The early trailer is at midnight. 6 furlongs to go off of 23-3, opening at quarter-mile time. And it's Sing Along Kayla, the leader. Sing Along Kayla to the back stretch. Almost 2 clear now. Seat at the table, so the 2 outside runners are 1-2 early on here. Joining them is Our Flag Flying back in third. Down to the inside, Dreaming of ABBA. Under good hold 4, 3 off the top. Length and a half more. Back to the pair. Mama Bella, Aquilina's to her inside and back a spot. Shade of Pale still second last. And at midnight still trails. Half mile left to go here. 48-4 was the opening half mile time. Sing Along Kayla, been there every step of the journey. Takes him to the far turn, a length in front. Seat at the table. Our Flag Flying pushed along a little more to try to keep up with them. Dreaming of ABBA moves to her inside now to take over third. Mama Bella is fifth. Shade of Pale moves to the outside, starting to rally up from seventh, is now sixth. Still 5.5 or 6 behind. Sing Along Kayla, who continues on. Sing Along Kayla marches past the quarter pole. Still that length lead to Seat at the table. Length and a half more back to Dreaming of ABBA. It's 3 more, then back to Mama Bella. Shade of Pale still about 6 or 7 behind as they come to the top of the stretch. Seat at the table coming up alongside of Sing Along Kayla. These two pass the 8th pole. Length and a half more back to Dreaming of ABBA. Just in behind them, Mama Bella's looking for a seam. Seat at the table takes over at the 16th pole. Mama Bella, Dreaming of ABBA down the outside. Seat at the table still in front. Mama Bella surging up the inside. Seat at the table won it. 16-1 upset winner here. Mama Bella was after that, Dreaming of ABBA. I think at midnight or Aquilina for 4th and 5th.
Seat at the table. Big upset. The odds-on favorite makes very little impact here.
I mean, the speed collapsed the 9, and the 3 never ran a step. I mean, that horse never ran a step. I don't know how you make C at the table. I'm looking at this horse's PPs. I feel like if you got less than 50-1, you got an underlay.
Coming out of a non-winners at 2 Life claiming race.
With a perfect trip. Wow, is this horse impossible to have. Okay.
Did
Smarter
move up
man
and
than me, if you
run
like
the
them.
best number she'd ever run in that turf.
Yes, she just either improved 5 lengths or nobody ran a
Victory
step.
last start, but yeah, it takes another move forward here. Nightcap still to come on the final race on the card here in New York in South Ozone Park on a Pick 6 carryover day, where that one right there, the 10 who just left our screen, much the one to beat. That is Vakinda, who was 7 lengths clear of the 6 Prince Valiant, but for Prince Valiant, it was a debut for one of the best barns in the country.
I agree. They lost to Sand Devil, though, who's horse that Linda Rice talking about running in the Withers after running a 90 buyer, improving 7 or 8 points off of this win. My problem with Prince Valiant is he didn't really get bet. He finished 7 lengths behind Vakinda. That's a lot to make up, Jonathan.
No, absolutely. And I think if you're just joining us, it's important to remind that the 4, 5, 6, 10, and 11 are covered in the Pick 6. Anyone else would result in a double carryover.
Got that.
Realistically, here's our post break. We'll see if we'll go through it. If anyone can spring that upset in your guys' minds. Joker on fire, 18-1 win. Buyers Disco Dervish.
Yeah, not taking any money for connections that don't have a listed winner with first-time starters.
Rockstar Rebel, turf back to dirt.
I think both the 1 and 3 are horses that are potential upsetters. I prefer the 1 of them all, but both are outside upset chances.
John Kimmelbarn, Attorney Wade.
Yeah, had a sibling, a half, a hard-spun half that had a little bit of early speed. This one will need some here as a first-time starter.
Here's Free Dance, Ray Handel.
Doesn't this horse look just like the 3 in the past performances? You could sort of switch them around.
Yeah.
Just look at the same horse.
Here's the 7, Easy Bourbon, first-time starter.
Yeah, on Instagram, it was interesting, but this horse is taking absolutely no money from Mark Hennig.
Ragtime Prankster, Mark Hennig as well, start number 3.
Yeah, this horse has just done no running in 2 starts. Should be a big price.
Overwhelmingly the one to beat. Even money favorite here, Vakinda.
Yeah, has big pace advantage here. Is drawn well. Has the fastest final number. Everything kind of points to this one making sense in her.
Stepping up in class, here's Total Silence.
Gets a trainer change for what that's worth. He's going to have to improve, even though beating the nose last time.
And first pitch, first time starter, outside 63-1.
Yeah, another one that doesn't have connections that give much confidence with a first time starter.
So Vakinda, Prince Valiant, the 10 and the 6, the rematch. And again, for Prince Valiant, it was the debut. You can take leaps and bounds of a forward move, especially from one of the best barns in the history of the sport, Prince Valiant, in start number 2. But as you said, a lot of lengths to make up.
Yeah, that's my problem. It's just too much. Listen, I had originally picked the 8 in here, a firster for Jeremiah Englehart, trying to beat the 10. I don't want to pick this horse because my problem with the 10 in this race, if she runs her last, or he runs his last race, he's less than even money, I think, to win. The problem is he really improved of his other races. Now, to be fair, it was his first time on a dry track, but it's also the first time that George Weaver ever entered him to run in the dirt. For whatever that's worth.
Even money, yeah. Can he back it up and do it again? Meanwhile, there's the one that's going to take another crack at him. Prince Valiant here in start number 2. Maggie, your thoughts?
Yeah, a horse that unfortunately I didn't see first time out, Greg. I hate when that happens. So, because that's when horses tend to take the biggest progression, though not necessarily with Todd Pletcher. But I remember at least handicapping this race and thinking about it and watching it because he didn't take an abundance of money, being 5-1 in that field. And yes, Vakinda did take a lot of money, but I'm not sure. He does get Lasix. He does look incredibly fit. I like the fact that he showed a good bit of speed. He has drawn a little bit more now towards the outside as opposed to last time where he was more inside, so his job might get a little bit easier. I honestly don't know what to think of him, but I do think there could be a move forward. Does wear a fairly full blinker for Todd and a Houghton bit, so a horse that does wear some significant equipment. As we'll take a look here at number 11, Total Silence. Danny Gargan will take over training with this guy as he was actually an entry mate of Danny's National Identity, Reeve for Dean Reeve et al. But Total Silence, I know he sets back up in class after being the beaten favorite in his own right last time out, but he just looks so good. He looks so strong, really fit now. So he might just be what he is, and that is a little bit on the slower side. But I do think there is a step forward for a horse that is 10-1. But guys, I just couldn't get past Vakinda either.
All right, let's get back to the question I asked. The 1, 2, 3, 7, 9, and 12. And thank you, Maggie. Of those, who do you believe could spring a 2-day pick 6 carryover?
The 1 and 3.
Yeah.
Far and away. I think the 1 is an overlay at 19-1. Yeah. I don't particularly love the 1, but I don't think the 1 is a 20-1 shot in this
Certainly
race.
The 3. Do you agree with the 3?
Yeah, I think the 3 definitely can. He's just got, experience. Has got some numbers that are just in the arena.
Yeah, 7, 9, and 12, a little tougher to make.
Yes.
But 4-5 now on Vakinda, and this seemed like the heaviest lean in the pick 6, and it's playing out that way on the board.
Well, if this horse wins, it will be the only one of the potential leans in today's card that was victorious. One finished first and was DQ'd, and one did not run well at all.
Manny Franco back aboard for trainer George Weaver on the 10. Vakinda can the 6, though, Prince Valiant for Todd Pletcher here in this rematch in start number 2. Take a big leap forward and close that gap. Was 7 lengths behind Vakinda when they met back on December the 8th. Chris Griffin with this finale on the Saturday card from Aqueduct.
Ragtime Prankster. Attorney Wade, there's Vakinda. Three out, free dance. Total Silence and first pitch. Is in. All set. they're off slowly was Joker on Fire, is towards the back end with Rockstar Rebel. The leader is Heart Sent. It's Prince Valiant and has company as they sprint clear in the early stages. The leader is Prince Valiant. Easy Bourbon is right to the outside, is now a challenging second. Also in that early mix is Vikinda. These three across the racetrack early. Just having to shuffle back. There was Joker on Fire. Has had a tough journey so far. In that second grouping, here's the run from Attorney Wade, is in fourth at the rail, 23.70 for that opening quarter mile. Also in that mix is Free Dance, is in between horses, and also running on Ragtime Prankster. Up on the far outside, that's Total Silence, who's now a challenging fourth. From the back, the gray is trying to run on Disco Dervish. Rockstar Rebel tailing off was first pitch. The leader is Prince Valiant and Vikinda. That's the top duo as they approach. A quarter mile left to go, and Vikinda with every shot. Prince Valiant, very game, right towards the inside, and these front two are sprinted well clear of the rest. Trying to run on is Total Silence from the back of the pack, and down towards the inside, Attorney Wade, but it's between these two to settle it. Prince Valiant to the inside, Vikinda to the outside. Prince Valiant is game. It's Prince Valiant with a nose in front. Vikinda trying to push on by. Two noses down to the line. Give it to Prince Valiant and Dylan Davis to win the finale. Prince Valiant over Vikinda, then came Attorney Wade, and a photo. That was Total Silence with an oncoming Free Dance in 1 minute 11 and 4.
Rematch goes to the less experienced Prince Valiant. Does make up those 7 lengths on Vikinda and breaks his maiden. Start number 2 for Todd Pletcher.
He was gamely able to hold off the 10. It looked like he loomed outside. It looked like he had him beat, but not able to seal the deal.
Sometimes it's just nice to see the two best horses hook up at the top of the stretch and see who's best on the day. It doesn't always happen with 12 horses in a race sometimes, or 10 horses in a race. You know, chaos can happen, and you end up with some 15-to-1 shot in the favor. It's nice to see a situation like this, and I would always typically side with a horse drawn to the outside in a situation like this. I think it's a much more comfortable place to be. I think that elevates Prince Valiant's performance even a little bit more.
Take a look here down the stretch. Head on. Red Cap, your eventual winner. Coming out.
Because I think the 10 came in. Met him too. He does come out a little bit.
Right there.
Nah. Mutual kissing going on there. Nothing of any consequence. Not like what we saw earlier. Yeah.
Nothing. JK?
No, I don't think so.
6'10", 4'11", unofficially. And Prince Valiant, look, the difference, by the way, in the pick 6.
I bet it's pretty significant, isn't it?
I think it's 2 tickets versus 3 tickets or something.
It was 33,731 to Vikinda, 67,000
to 1 ticket or
463 to Prince Valiant.
But I think that this is a great teaching point, or at least a learning point, is that horses like this that are this it makes a significant difference within the legs of a pick 6 when you can beat the favorite.
Yeah.
It makes a huge difference when you can get that second choice, because a lot of times people, you know, we all have horse player friends that'll be like, oh, there was 2 4-5s and a 5. How did it only pay? Well, why did it only pay this? It makes a huge difference.
Well, in this case, it's a little skewed because it's the difference between 1 ticket or 2 tickets. So I think it's a little hard because you're talking about, I think if you'd had some shorter prices earlier and the difference was $1,500 and $3,800, it's more demonstrative because there's multiple.
And to get those
in this
big
case,
prices,
it's just, what if just randomly somebody else in the 6, they pay the same? And your point is correct, but it's just when you're talking about 1 versus 2 tickets, there's a little bit of randomness there. That's
and
all
you
I would
could
say.
have made some cases for those big prices, but you probably would have had to been single to Vikinda. That would have doubled your ticket to use someone else in here.
It's a very hard ticket to put together, especially for relatively limited money. Yes, maybe for $10,000 you got a shot, but I would. This was a hard ticket to hit for me for short money.
At Tampa Bay Downs, Mark Cassidy Barn, Antonio Gallardo seated at the table with an upset win.
Yeah,
it was a shocking one. I mean, it's one of those situations where I think that if you're around the game long enough, you can see a result, you can look back at the past performances, and you can stare at it for an hour and come up with a reason as to why it happened. And if you do that with this horse and you can see it to a certain extent, but I just felt like the 3 was going to be a slam dunk in here. And even if it wasn't the 3, I didn't see the 10 being the one that was going to get it done.
I think a 3-year sentence in solitary confinement with just the PPs for this race, I'd come out and say, I have no idea how this horse won.
What did you do?
The first thing I'd say when I got out.
What'd you do to get 3 years?
I'm just coming up with a period of time. Maybe 5 years I'd figure it out.
Here we go. Here he is, back from just one start, and it was a Grade 1 Woody Stevens where he ran third. 2023 Grade 1 hopeful winner at 54-1. Nutella Fella. Shocker on that day at Saratoga for trainer Gary Contessa. Off since June of last year. 4-5 for the return.
I am going to stand firmly on this being one of those situations as a horse player that you have to get involved. Because Nutella Fella, to me, is nowhere close to 50% to win this race. I get that he has some talent, but he rarely shows up at the track. With all due respect, he's in a barn that doesn't exactly have a high percentage of winners, and he's gotten tremendous setups for his running style, and he's not getting that today. So for my money, you're supposed to go in, and I'm basically interested in the 1 and 7. I'll bet the 1 to win and box 1-7.
Well, the other obstacle, too, besides the fact that you could talk about what he's done on the racetrack, he is coming in off a pretty significant break. For a trainer who's 11% through his career with first horses off a layoff, 8% with first-time starters, which means he doesn't probably have the best eye on getting one ready off of a long break. And you have all of the negatives that you could set up for him, that he's going to be completely overbet in here because his performances are dressed up. It's just not a great wager. Now, look, we'll probably talk about it for the next 20 minutes, and he'll run off the screen. It doesn't mean he's still doesn't mean he's a good wager.
I think that as a horse player, you live to make bets against horses like this. There's a reputation based on the races he ran in, and his running style does not suit this race. I think he's a great bet against. If I lose my money, it won't be the first time, it won't be the last time, but I think you're losing with the best of it, betting against a horse like this at a super short price.
And right now, yeah, Thrill of It looks like a prime contender to maybe beat him. He's 9-1 right now. We'll see how these odds change. There he is, 2023 Grade 1 hopeful winner, Nutella Fella, back in action when we return. Back with you. We learned this one's name on the production call this morning. Andy, do you remember? Were you paying attention? for 20 points.
I would be cheating if I answered because the producer just told me. It's the first time he's actually given me useful information, but I can't lie.
And
I think his name is Jonathan.
It's Gasper. And I told the story the other day. He actually, I'm assuming it's this one, did come onto the track during the running of a race a couple of years ago.
How do you do? I beat the horse I bet on.
Luckily, he did not eat anyone.
It's a photo, but.
Oh, man.
Nutella 3-5 favorite in the first race back since the third place finish in the Woody Stevens. Came on everybody's radar. Shockingly, in one of the biggest upsets in a racetrack known for tremendous upsets, Saratoga, their signature race for 2-year-olds in the hopeful in 2023, had no right really to win this race.
It was an extremely good field, but it had a very, very strong pace, and it just completely collapsed. And it was a low figure, as you can see, a 72 buyer. But you can't take away his Grade 1 win from him, and to be fair, sort of legitimized it with his decent third-place finish coming off a long layoff and a very tough Woody Stevens, but also a race that featured a supersonic pace. He's gotten extreme paces to run into, which really favors his
was
race.
one of 3 career Grade 1 wins for Gary Contessa, his first in 5 years in a career that has spanned over 35 years.
Yeah, I mean, Nutella Fella was pretty. I'm assuming that was the longest shot of those 3. But I will say this.
No, Shippergon Horror paid a huge price too. I mean, I think she was a bigger price.
Yeah.
Shippergon Horror was a very big price.
Nutella Fella was one of those horses that when you're at the racetrack and you're watching the race, and the horse crosses the wire, you look to everyone and say, "Who was that?" And you have to grab the form to look because it wasn't even on your radar that horse could win.
Were you eavesdropping on me after the race was run? Because that's exactly what I said.
I said, you're going to grab it?
Yeah.
I don't know who that was.
I feel the same way I feel about race number 8 at Tampa.
A little bit. 8 minutes away from Nutella Fella's return back in New York, wrapping up this card. Dylan Davis, couple of wins, returning to town. Wins here for Todd Pletcher and Red Oak Stable.
Yeah, Dylan is winning everywhere. Nice stretch battle. It's a nice battle between these two horses. What was the final time in this race? Do we know? 1:11.85. That's a fast race. That's actually, when you compare it to that 7th race, Jonathan, this horse ran pretty quickly. Or the 7th or 8th? The 8th race.
These two horses, they have figures that make them, they're nice horses. And to run the way they did, to show the grit they did in the stretch, I'd be happy to own them both.
Shows you, too, for those that don't, follow this game day in, day out, how much you can improve, especially from one of the best barns in the history of the sport, though, from that first to that second start.
Absolutely.
$7.80 for the win. Burkindo winds up second. Attorney Wade, long way back to third. Pick 6, $67,463. Congratulations if you had it. Pick 5, not bad either. Just under $10,000 coming back your way if you put that sequence together as we get back to Tampa Bay Downs and our post-parade here coming up in a moment. Let's take a look back at the only start last year from Nutella Fella, Grade 1 Woody Stevens. And from the get-go, a little rough out of the gate.
Well, this was also one of the most incredible wicked paces I've ever seen in a race. He has no speed. He seems steady back, but he was helped by this. I mean, I've never seen a race, Jonathan. Look at how quickly they put separation of about 15 lengths in the field. They were going that fast.
And it was a weird race, too, because the pace, if I'm not mistaken, the original figure came back very, very low. And I believe they raised it, right?
This race?
Yeah. No, it was low. Oh, excuse me, this is the Woody Stevens.
No, the Woody Stevens. You're thinking about the Hopeful.
Yeah, the Hopeful. No, this was an absolute
No, the owner of the horse wanted the Hopeful figure raised. He was on Twitter adamantly not understanding speed.
This was a supersonic pace.
I'm not sure if we've ever, in how many years have we been doing it? 43 to the half?
This was, I mean, I remember watching it live and seeing that the field spread out in the first quarter. I've never seen a dirt race spread out. I mean, I've seen some meltdowns. There was a huge field, and it felt like there was 25 lengths or more from first to last, a furlong in the race.
Crazy.
It just shows how fast they were going.
Thrill of it went by. Contender for sure. Here's Painted Warrior.
Yeah, Painted Warrior appears to be the speed now that they scratched the 4.
Nutella Fella, 4-5.
Look, he's just not a good bet. I don't think any one of us is trying to convince you that he can't or won't win. He's just not a good wager.
86 Chevy's a big price on a 2-time winner.
Yes, he would be surprising.
Turf back to dirt for him. Cat Tire Vizcaya. coming off a gate-to-wire score.
Yeah, I encourage you to try to beat Nutella, but I wouldn't do it with this guy.
Chrome Ghost is taking support at 7-2. Gerald Bennett, who's already won on today's card,
has run some fast races, and I thought got a little lost last time. Hopefully Camacho can get a little bit closer today.
The 6-time winner next door, Divine Leader. Here he is.
Look, this horse ran extremely well last time at Hawthorne, which, like DuPaul, is also in Chicago.
Jonathan's learning so much today.
It's a crazy day for Jonathan.
Timeless Bounty has Daniel Centeno aboard.
My worry is he's just not quite fast enough for this field, but he is second off a little bit of a layoff.
And a Florida bred on the outside. That is Saybrook.
Yeah, he's got a race 5 back from May at Gulfstream Park that could put him in the mix here, but it feels like that's standing out as one of his best performances, with a lot of performances that don't really match that one.
Well, in addition to all the things you've talked about with Nutella, also, Gary Contessa, when he won the Hopeful, he really credited the starting gate crew because this horse was a mess. At Delaware, first time out, and I believe, too, in that Hopeful.
Well, that's another thing, though, you're supposed to be concerned about, aren't you?
Yeah,
we'll wait and see how he's acting here leading up to this one.
And the thing about that as well is that, and you see this often in racing, is if he is a bad breaker from the gate, that's going to be a big disadvantage here in a race that doesn't have a lot of pace.
Right.
But it's been hidden because he's broken poorly in 2 fast-paced races that have fallen apart, and so his weakness actually ended up helping him out.
No question about it. Sometimes getting left in those races doesn't really hurt you. So, I mean, it's not a great thing. There are other closers in the race, but he hasn't. Right, you're right. It's just sort of a race that he gets left in a race like this, he really going to have a lot of trouble winning this race. And I think we're still trying to find out just how good he really is. And I know that's funny to say about a horse that has 3 starts, 2 in Grade 1s, a win and a third. I'm still just not sure he's that good.
So long time away for this Grade 1 winner. Acacia, how does he look here off the bench?
Well, he is a big, solid horse, but I will say about Nutella today, he looks more fit off this layoff than he did coming into the Woody Stevens, so I do appreciate that. And you just look at his work pattern, and he has had some stamina works coming in here with that work 2 back going 7/8 in the morning, a 6 furlong, back-to-back 6 furlong works prior to that. So they've really been putting the miles in on him leading into this race. He looks tremendous overall, but I do question still, as Andy mentioned, just how good is he really? What kind of horse is he? And most importantly, will he need this race for fitness coming in? He was on the muscle, though, too. He was really sharp, bouncing around the paddock as well, and was reading some quotes from Gary Contessa where he did say that he was sidelined with some bone bruising following that third in the Woody Stevens. So hopefully everything will be back on track, and we'll get a chance to see him put some back-to-back races together throughout 2025, because that's where we'll really get a chance to see what he's made of. As far as the one thrill of it, I actually really wanted to pick this horse. I just really worry that he's going to need one off the bench. He is a horse that does carry condition overall. He just looks like he's carrying a little bit more than usual, not having run since July. So that's a bit of my concern for him, as he is 5-1, and I think probably maybe the most proven horse in this field already, and a horse that I have a bit of an affinity for as well. He had great energy, wasn't over the top as he maybe sometimes can be, but like I said, my biggest concern was the fitness with him coming back into this spot, but I do like him overall. That brings me to the 7 Chrome Ghost, who at first, when seeing him in the paddock, I was a little bit reluctant to kind of warm up to, but the more that I watched him warm up, the more that I warmed up to him. He is a horse that has some tactical speed for Jerry Bennett, who we did see get a first earlier on through DQ, and one that I know came from off of it last time out, but I'm hoping can kind of get himself into the race, as he was really, really sharp today, and one that has, I think, a little bit of ability and maybe a bit of dirtied up form. He's got to turn around off the back of that last race, but I don't think that that's necessarily his best running style when he's left with a bit too much to do. Sammy Camacho seems to fit this horse well, Greg.
Acacia, thank you. 6-5. Wow, that's surprising that Nutella Fellows have floated up above even money.
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not that surprised.
Okay.
I think that, there's There is a lot of money in the pools that is highly sophisticated. And, Jonathan, I don't think anything we're saying up here is like a secret. This horse is massively flawed in this race.
If you were thinking that Nutella is just better than these other horses and you don't care, you're going to bet him anyways, I would tell you that even money is a negative. I would encourage you more to bet the horse if he was 3 to 5. The fact that he's even money to me makes me feel like he's a little bit
It's a red
cold.
flag.
Yeah, I know that sounds counterintuitive, but I do think that the higher the price goes on him, actually the worse the wager is, because I just don't think it's a good sign.
The lower he is, the more money I'd like to book on him. I do not like this horse. If we had the dunce cap, I would put it on if he wins this race. It might be in my – it actually might be in my office. Eric Donovan rescued it from Belmont. It was the last thing I was able to get out of Belmont before the place came crumbling down.
Are you going to get a new one?
That and what is it, the history – what's the Bob Marley book from Jamaica? The history of in 7 killings or something.
Here we go again.
It's a great book.
He's going to start yelling at me for not reading it.
This book. There's no way you read this. It's a great book, though. Marlon James.
We're always on edge here on set with Andy of things we don't know, musicians we should know.
Well, at least you know lighter shade of pale, Greg.
Even money, Nutella fella, and out of the – I mean, it's been every single time. Really, he is broken just about dead last or quite near it. Probably going to be the case again today, wouldn't you think? Or is there a chance, being sharp coming off the layoff, he's a little bit closer?
I believe in PPs, and this horse's PPs do not have this horse having much speed. His best chance to be somewhat closer is if the pace isn't as fast, but that will likely going to mute his closing kick, isn't it?
I will say something positive about him.
He's pretty.
No, I wouldn't. Does he have 4 legs and a tail? He's gorgeous. Is that he has been at Tampa this whole time, getting ready for this race. He's been running. He's been working at Tampa. He worked 7 furlongs on New Year's Day, and then came back and worked 3 furlongs. I've always felt that when a trainer works extremely short, that 3 furlongs for the last work, it's a sign of confidence, of fitness. I don't need to try to jam one more work in. We're ready to go.
Is there a possibility that this horse, you look at the debut, and his mind was a mess that day? Gary Contessa admitted it. He was fractious. He got bumped. His next start in the hopeful got off a beat slow. Is there a chance he actually maybe does have a little bit of speed? Because in that debut
he had a little speed
at Delaware, he showed some sprint speed.
Well, and he's also been farther back because the paces have been so hot. So he is going to probably be closer unless he has a bad break in this race. But I just feel as though his closing kick is going to be muted if the pace is slower.
It's also a very conservative starting point.
Yes.
For a horse who ran 3rd and one of the greatest, probably outside of the Malibu, one of the best 3-year-old sprint races that you can be in, grade 1s.
Well, that and the Alan Jerkins are huge.
Those are the 3.
races.
Those are the 3.
And also, there's a question of sort of just the fact that he can't put races together, right? How much do you trust a horse that has so much trouble staying on the racetrack?
That's been a problem.
Listen, I'm not saying he can't win. I just think he's a horrible bet.
They had plans to go to the Champagne and then the Breeders' Cup as a 2-year-old. Obviously went to the bench after the hopeful. Didn't come back until June from September. And it was just that one start in the Grade 1 Woody Stevens where he ran 3rd behind 2 sensational horses, Bookham Dano and Prince of Monaco. That was the best race he ever ran.
Well, those are extremely good horses, much better than these horses are. No question about it.
So even money. Here we go. Nutella fella back for his 4-year-old debut. There he is, stepping into the gate with Junior Alvarado for trainer Gary Contessa. The story of this race, no question. And, the way he obviously won the hopeful, but more so the Woody Stevens potential. If he can stay on the racetrack,
yes,
he could be a player in the sprint division. See what he does here. First things first, baby steps, the comeback effort here at 7/8. And there he is, not being the best of actors as they have the gate open to try and get him in, guys.
Yeah, that's already it's already an indication. Clearly they must have passed the notes along that he had some problems in the gate, and he's clearly having issues now, tossing his head about, not wanting to really go in, them having to open the gate so he doesn't feel as claustrophobic going into there. It looks like he's going, but
been a problem for him in all of his starts to this point in his limited career of just 3 starts. Meanwhile, just about everyone else waiting patiently. There we go. Nutella fella in. Let's go to Jason Beam for his return.
86 Chevy Saybrook, the final two, just about set for a start. Lamb Home South race of the week. It's the late daily double. Saybrook to the outside draw. Saybrook coming up and in. They're in the gate. And the race is on. Painted Warrior toward the inside was out quickly. Katira Vizcaya, the gray, is close up. Chrome Ghost moving between horses and Saybrook out wide. It's Katira Vizcaya just in front of Saybrook, and between them comes Divine Leader, those three across the course. Painted Warrior fourth to the inside, wants to join them up top. It's a break of two more. Back to Chrome Ghost, who settles fifth. Nutella Fella, the favorite, is sixth right now toward the inside, about 5.5, 6 off the lead. Then comes 86 Chevy to the far outside. Thrill of It moves between horses. At the back early on is Timeless Bounty. They have just over a half mile left to go. 22-2 is the opening quarter mile time. And on the front end, Painted Warrior, Katira Vizcaya. They're 1-2. They're a length in front of Divine Leader. Going to be a wide trip here for Saybrook on the far outside. Another length toward the inside of Chrome Ghost. Nutella Fella still working toward the inside. Thrill of It's to that one's outside with 86 Chevy. As they wind around that turn. Painted Warrior, Katira Vizcaya, Chrome Ghost poised and ready to go. Nutella Fella's now starting to make up some ground, and here's the favorite on the inside. He's going to need a seam, though. He's in behind horses as they come around to the top of the stretch. Katira Vizcaya pokes a nose in front. Chrome Ghost, Nutella Fella going to swing toward the outside out to the four-path. Now has room and has the length of the stretch to get to the new leader, Chrome Ghost. Chrome Ghost comes to the eighth pole, a two-length lead. Nutella Fella trying to get to him in these final 150 yards. Chrome Ghost is still there, though. Chrome Ghost by two. Nutella Fella, Katira Vizcaya back to third. Chrome Ghost, Sammy Camacho still in front. Chrome Ghost to win it. Nutella Fella was second. It was four more back to Katira Vizcaya in third. Then came 86 Chevy and Timeless Bounty to complete your super high five.
Chrome Ghost with the win. Gerald Bennett, another win on the card today. Sam Camacho.
Yeah, you know, he got a good trip, stalking behind the pace, was able to move up. Now a very good trip for the four as well, Nutella Fella. He was just clearly second best. He ran better than I expected, but still not good enough, Jonathan.
And look, this was a positive result, so we're not patting ourselves on the back by any means, but I think it's an important point that you do need to take on horses like this. And they're going to beat you a lot, but the times that you beat them can pay for the times that they beat you.
Yeah, this is a more likely winner and paid 3-1, at least in my opinion. Unfortunately, I boxed 1-7. My one is, I think he's at the eighth pole now.
He's in Orlando.
4-5 at the end on Nutella Fella for the 4-year-old return. 3-1 on your winner. Chrome Ghost, 122-1 for the 7/8 of a mile.
Yeah. Listen, Nutella Fella ran fine, to be fair. He got a pretty good trip as things worked out. And he didn't break great, but he didn't break that badly. He ran okay. He just wasn't quite good enough. He was second best.
We'll have the prices for you when we come back. We're going to step aside for a timeout. We will look back to earlier today in the Ladies Stakes. All about Tizzy. We'll tell you about it when we come back. Kendrick Carmouche aboard for Hall of Fame trainer Todd Pletcher.
The only colt ever to win 3 one-mile Grade 1s on dirt. Ran the fastest buyer of the year. That's him, 6 wide, streaking clear.
Here comes Cody's
2 more Grade 1s at 7/8. Here's his forego, also running a 112 bite. That's 5 Grade 1s all told. No other son of Sires Curlin has so many. They say, be careful what you wish for. We agree.
Enhance your handicapping with AI Fast Facts, exclusively on Naira Bets. Open your Naira Bets app, click View Runner Details, and a stat-driven fact will appear for all U.S. thoroughbred racehorses. Download the Naira Bets app to start using Fast Facts today.
RaceLens is the most in-depth product in horse racing, with unique features found nowhere else. True odds, predictive analysis, and pace projection. RaceLens. It will change the way you follow horse racing and take your game to the next level.
50, down, get in, 350. Here we go. 3 here, 50, down 4, 8.5, in the back. 1,400,000 stands way in the back. Thank you.
1,500,000 and $1,600,000, $150,000, $1,550,000 and a half. $1,500,000. Jody, thank you.
Please hold your applause.
Charlatan, ultra impressive.
It's a new day for a new king.
Back with you on our Saturday card from Tampa. Aqueduct in the books. Program brought to you in part by Hillendale at Alapa. And we saw an upset here. Nutella fella, first start back since a third-place finish. The Grade 1 Woody Stevens winds up runner-up in his 4-year-old return to Chrome Ghost.
And not a bad effort by him. Just second best. Just a horse who was an underlay at 4-5.
No, he actually ran okay, considering, to be fair. I mean, we beat him up and picked on him for a majority of
We picked on him as a bad bet.
A bad bet, of course.
It's not about the horses. Anybody that thinks this stuff is personal or something is completely wrong. We are bettors. We are trying to find ways to make money. And we want to bet against horses like this.
Yeah, beat up his chances, not him as a horse.
I wish him the best of luck.
And based off of that, he's interesting to me moving forward into a spot where he's not 4-5.
He will never be interesting to me. But thank you.
Okay, now it's getting personal.
No, it's not personal. I just don't think he's that good.
10th at Tampa. Mile and a 16th on the turf. $16,000 claiming race. Harpoon Harry. Gerald Bennett looking again for a win here with this horse from the rail.
I love the tactical speed in the draw because whether they want to make the front with the speed on the inside or sit that pocket
the 10
trip.
is going.
Yeah.
10 is the speed.
They have an opportunity to save a bunch of ground and work out a nice trip.
I agree. I like Harpoon Harry. I like the race 1-5.
20 minutes away from that 10th coming up. We're going to look back to earlier in the card today at Aqueduct. It happened before we came on our FS1 coverage. Ladies Stakes. Todd Pletcher with Julia Shining, but also had Tizzy in the Sky, the odds-on favorite. She was dominant here. 5th win in this race for Todd Pletcher.
This was today.
Long time ago, wasn't it?
It feels like a long, long time ago. She was good. I was very impressed by her effort. She rated easily. Manny was was really determined to get the lead with the number 4, who almost got second. And Kendrick let him go, and he parked outside and just won as much the best.
Yeah, wins. You're down late in here. Tizzy in the Sky just on a roll right now. For Hall of Fame barn of Todd Pletcher's 6-year-old. It just seems like she's getting better with age.
Better and better.
6-time winner at Aqueduct. All of her wins coming over this racetrack.
Yeah, I'm going to make Todd, when I wonder if he's thinking, I think something that's interesting, you look at the older filly and mare division. Obviously, there's an elephant in the room, and it's Torpedo Anna. And if Torpedo Anna is able to run the way she did last year, she's going to be very hard to beat in those races. But she's going to have to come back and show that she can step forward, and sometimes it's hard to do it. Now, they're talking about going to the Dubai World Cup. I think that would be a mistake with her. It's a lot of money. I get it. Seems like a lot to ask coming off the layoff. We'll see what happens. She does have some speed, which might help her there. Those are tough races. I would think if she's going to the Apple Blossom, it might change a lot of people's plans. If she goes over to Dubai, I could see people like Todd Pletcher taking a serious look at a race like the Apple Blossom, a Grade 1.
I do have a quick question about that. I understand the ship and all that makes it very complicated to go to Dubai. But don't you believe, I do, that her best race was at 1.25 miles when she ran second to Fierceness? So maybe that 1.25 miles of the Dubai World Cup and all of that money make it a viable option for her.
There's that argument to be made.
I get it. It's a lot of money. I get it. I'm skeptical. I really, because I'll tell you something. Her Breeders' Cup was okay. But her Breeders' Cup not as good as some of the other races that she's
It was
run
the end of a
before.
long campaign.
I don't disagree, but now she's going to have to show she can come back and do it as a 4-year-old, and she's got to go to Dubai and run there, where you don't know what Japanese horses are showing up. And I don't disagree with you. The distance works, but, man, I think that's a big ask. And then she goes there. She misses the Apple Blossom. She misses the La Troyenne. She probably misses the Phipps as well. So suddenly you're talking about missing. She's going to be lucky to get back to run the Personal Ensign. I get it. It's a lot of money. If you go there and win, you're smart. You go there and lose, you feel like you feel like you missed a lot of opportunities. Listen, Kenny has done all the right things with her. He's going to do what he does, but I just wonder if it's going to turn out to be the best decision. I'm not saying he may not go, and I understand taking a look at it. I don't knock him for it. I'm just not a decision that I necessarily would make me optimistic.
Going to be interesting to see, just to have, probably going to be in about 12 days here, named Horse of the Year.
Right.
Have a Horse of the Year come back. We don't see it a lot in this sport. Tremendous for the game.
Oh yeah, no. Listen, I mean, there's no question her running in the Travers made a big time race, a memorable race, no doubt about it, and it delivered. A lot of times these races don't deliver. That race delivered in a big way, and it's because of how well she ran.
Yeah. Going to take a look back at what happened in those 3 stakes earlier on the card at Tampa Bay. We'll show you that, including a disqualification of a Derby contender. Stay with us. Good to have you with us on our Saturday coverage here on Fox Sports 2. You're watching America's Day at the Races with one still to come at Tampa Bay Downs. Let's look back earlier in the card. Stakes action, Pasco, Owen Almighty. Odds on favorite, and Stewart's determined Rat Ortiz Jr. interferes with rookie card there around the turn, and the eventual winner disqualified.
Yeah, look, I feel like I'm not offended by the decision, but I certainly wouldn't have been offended if they wouldn't have changed.
And I don't think this is a case of Irad being reckless at all. Don't forget the 5's on his flank. They're hitting a point in the turn when they're going around. This is one that I do wish Richie was here for. I would really like to hear Richie's perspective, having been there, and I know I've talked to him a lot about how you get to that break in the turn, you better have established your position. Now, I'm not saying that Junior hadn't. I'm really not. I just would love to get Richie's perspective on this.
No, I think Junior needed to get out of that spot. I don't think that he was like,
He just wasn't holding it strongly enough. That's the problem.
I felt like he just put his nose in there, his head in there, and maybe if he was just a little bit more committed to the spot, then Irad wouldn't have been able to come over on him.
As a result,
not sure, but maybe.
Naughty Rascal put up to victory for Gerald Bennett. And big performance there. Owen Almighty, probably not going to change plans what they expect. The horse looked at least impressive at 7/8 in here. I don't know if he can get longer, but that's the plan. Brian Lynch wants to try him next on that Derby trail back in the Sam F. Davis.
Well, we'll see who shows up in the race. He's a talented horse. I don't think he gets better with more distance, but he may be talented enough to win this race.
Well, it's funny. We just kind of got to see it a little bit with Nutella, at least the races. The good thing about a horse like him is you can try. Go ahead, try the Tampa Bay Derby, and when you realize that didn't work out, then you have races like the Pat Day Mile, the Woody Stevens, and the Alan Jerkins that you can start focusing on one-turn races, and there's no
Hope you're
harm.
good enough there. Yeah, I think this time of the year with the Derby preps is for two things. One is finding out if your horse is effective going long or maybe gets better going longer, and also find out whether or not your horse belongs. There's nothing wrong with taking a shot earlier in the year and being overmatched. It's important to be overmatched sometimes and realize, okay, I'm just not good enough. Now I'm going to focus on races the horse can win.
Whitmore was on the Triple Crown Trail for a while.
I think he ran third in a big prep, like the Rebel. He might have been third in the Rebel.
Jackie's Warrior was also a horse that was on the
5 minutes.
And then they decided to cut him back, and he turned out to be one of the best sprinters we've seen in some time.
Well, Groovy ran the Kentucky Derby, one of the great sprinters in the history of the game. You just have to realize, the most important thing is to realize when you're not good enough or when the distance is too long, and sometimes people end up not wanting to accept that their horse isn't good enough to be in a Triple Crown Trail or wanting to go long, and that's when it can be detrimental to a horse. But I think you're better off, there are a lot of races you're better off running in and running eighth than not running in at all, because that race can answer the question of whether or not you should be trying the big. Bookham Dano. They got a little aggressive with him. Look what he did in Saudi, and they realized we've got a horse that belongs in these races.
Exciting horse. Excited to see what he can do. Shown a lot of talent this far. Disappointing for him today, obviously, with that DQ. But we're going to see him going forward in some interesting spots. Meanwhile, Gasparilla, 3-year-old fillies. Dancing Magic. Trainer Michael Campbell, Junior Alvarado with a win.
This horse was much the best, just devoured the 3 in the lead. A very big improved effort for the 3 who had won a maiden 50 claimer first time. Cut out, very fast pace. The 7 looked like he was going to get him. He couldn't get to him, but this horse, Jonathan, she was rolling.
Yeah, Irad and Brian Lynch won the last race with Owen, or crossed the wire first with Owen Almighty. They did not show up in this race with another short price horse, and the winner, Dancing Magic, was just the best in it.
Well, this Irad horse made no sense at all on paper to be a short price. That horse did. Not a good day for Irad at Tampa. I mean, he's got to be thinking, what was I doing? But he rode live horses.
A lot of time we see him show up in Florida on these big days, and he 4, 5, 6 wins. Not today.
Listen, it's a very, very tough job, and even the very best riders go through bad runs. Things don't work out that well. I don't fault Irad. I don't look at these races and think, boy, Irad gave a bad ride in any of them. He just wasn't on horses that were good enough, and in one race, a tough DQ.
Yeah.
He didn't do anything wrong in that heavy favor for Chad Brown. That horse was terrible.
Yeah, 100%.
Meanwhile, Wayward Lass, JK with the call here.
Like you want me to call the race?
I like him too.
Oh, you did? You're kind of on JK's heels, though, weren't you?
Well, I'm always on JK's heels, so let's be honest here.
Little Jamie here.
Yep, multiple graded stakes placed, but first stakes win for little Jamie.
No, and it's did it the right way, right? I mean, I like horses that run races like this. You're tactical. He swooped up on the outside. When you watched it on a turn, you saw his pink cap kind of rolling on the outside, 3 or 4 wide, and Irad was down there with the 1 and ended up working out a nice trip. Just wasn't good enough to get to little Jamie, and the connections were there and enjoying. They got the blue and orange silks, and the owner had on the Florida hat, so I'm assuming that they're Florida natives. And
what's the blue and orange?
The Gators, Florida Gators.
Oh, those the Mets.
Gainesville.
Well, there's other teams that have blue and orange. That was just me paying you back for that song thing earlier.
You're never getting. The guy doesn't know lighter shade of pale. He's trying to pay me back on
this
orange
guy doesn't know
silks.
Messi, so come on.
I know
I
Messi.
think we're at a tie.
Graham Motion had a horse name for him. That's how I learned. At least I knew.
Let's go to Acacia. Obviously, an upset with Nutella Fella. Ran decent in a comeback, but not enough for the win. What'd you think of the Pasco?
Yeah, and for Nutella Fella, he did. Now, one thing about Nutella Fella, he didn't switch leads, Greg. That's something to keep in mind. It is a first race of the year, and seems to this point he only really runs once a year, but we'll see what the future does hold for Nutella Fella. I think he'll get a lot out of this race, but as far as the Pasco is concerned, I had come into this race really thinking Owen Almighty just might be the best horse. Now, one thing that I did notice, and right here is where that incident did occur, Ira Ortiz taking a peek behind his shoulder, and as Jonathan pointed out, I do think it was because he heard Junior Alvarado on the 4 rookie card in the yellow cap hollering at him. Now, when horses go on the turn, they naturally switch to their inside lead. Watching this race back a couple times, it looked to me like Owen Almighty actually switched to his inside left lead early in the race, and his head was already kind of turned a bit. Maybe it was already a little bit tight with the rider down to the inside. Maybe he was already leaning a bit. Maybe he had a little bit of pressure from Naughty Rascal to his outside as well. It could have been a combination of all of those factors, but it did look like he was almost kind of preemptively going into that turn with already starting to kind of lean a little bit. So something to keep an eye on with Owen Almighty, which, to be fair, this is a horse that's also coming in off the layoff, and as far as Naughty Rascal is concerned, he will get a chance to stretch out in distance for his trainer Gerald Bennett, who has been a mainstay here at Tampa Bay Downs, Greg, but has never won the Tampa Bay Derby, and feels that this is a horse who will love some more distance. So maybe for the local trainer, this could be the year.
We got a lot. Thank you, Acacia. Great job out there this afternoon. Long way to go in this Triple Crown before we get to that first Saturday in May. But it's going to be interesting to see how things play out in the next month or so.
And I also don't think there's any big dog out there right now. I don't think anybody's confident the Citizen Bull, who walked on the front end, is going to be a major contender for the Derby. It's Baffert, so nothing would surprise me. And clearly Barnes has some talent, but he's got to show he can go longer. We'll see how the paces are going forward. There's no 2 or 3-year-old now out there where you go, they got to beat this guy.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And there's and you know, we're gonna have probably 12 different races. It feels like leading up to that.
At least.
And so there's a lot to still unfold. And no, there is not that horse that's run yet or been debuted yet that makes you feel like, oh, we might have a Triple Crown. Sometimes you feel like that at this point.
We had that last year, and it didn't matter anyway.
Who was it?
Fierceness didn't run that race, the Kentucky Derby.
Right.
But we had that standout superstar. Still have the nightcap to come.
That's true.
4 minutes to post in this finale on this Saturday card from Tampa, Florida. We'll be back with this one next.
It's amazing. I mean, we're used to having horses in claiming races, and here we're at the undercard of the Belmont.
And they're off in the Woody Stevens, and here's Bookham Dano, who has blown by them all. Bookham Dano, Prince of Monaco in between. It's going to get very close. Bookham Dano!
Winning on New York's most important day of racing.
I can't. That was awesome. He's the best.
These New York bred foals represent many sires: War Dancer, Salamini, Honest Mischief, Central Banker. But they all have one thing in common. Starting in 2026, they'll be running for the same purse money as Open Company 2-year-olds at Naira tracks. That's nearly 20% more than they run for now. Learn more about it at nybreds.com.
Grayson Jockey Club Research Foundation was formed in 1940 with a simple goal: to raise funds for research to enhance the health and soundness of horses. Since then, we've provided millions of dollars to hundreds of projects at universities around the world, leading to major advances in welfare. Our process of selecting and producing peer-reviewed research has become the trusted industry standard. And with your help, we'll be here for many years to come, supporting the health and wellness of all horses.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Back with you for this finale from Tampa, a mile and a 16th on the turf. $16,000 claiming race, all for sale for that price. As we look at a Harpoon Harry for Gerald Bennett.
Should be a horse that's forwardly placed, not in front, but feels like the horse to beat to me. Big price, 5-1.
Mission Key, monster number with Ron Allen Jr.
Yeah, this horse hasn't been doing much running since earlier this summer, and that might not have been good enough either.
Eddie the Great coming off a good performance.
I agree. I don't really think he wants to go this far, and the extra distance won't help him, but he ran okay last time at a huge price.
Here's Denying, who's a two-time winner on the turf.
Yeah, it was closing to a slow pace last time. I don't have a problem with this horse at 13-1.
Western Yarn, the favorite right now, 5-2.
Yeah, she's okay. I just feel like she's not getting it done. Look at the short prices, or he's been lately, and he's just not winning.
You talking to me, Hector Diaz Jr. for Kathleen O'Connell.
Yeah, this horse ran okay last time. It did get a lot of pace to close.
You do know where this name comes from, right? Oh, my God.
Here we go again. Frosty
Come
the
on.
Soldier.
Taxi driver? Robert De Niro? Looks not a terrible
Jonathan, we have to make a list of movies for you. Policy Option at 7-1. Andy's beside himself.
Is there anybody on earth that's never seen Robert De Niro doing the "You Talking to Me" scene from Taxi Driver? Yes, he's sitting to my left.
Just in time for wine, the 10, Jose Ferrer, and this one wants to be up front on the lead.
Yeah, I got to be honest. The way that Andy's yelling at me, it is just in time for wine.
Fatima's Blessing at 12-1 to round out the field.
Yeah, this horse not impossible. Ran pretty fast last time at Laurel. This horse can win. Big price.
So 2-1 favorite, a Western Yarn. Let's go to Acacia.
And on the drop-in class, this horse certainly does make sense for Arnaud Delacour, a horse that just recently has been facing tougher, has some tactical speed. You can certainly make a strong case for a Western Yarn, one horse that I remember actually seeing last year here at Tampa, and he was kind of all over the place, and one that maybe mentally took a little bit of time to get going. Far more relaxed now, far more settled. I have no problems with him as your favorite. Take a little bit of a chance with the number 1 Harpoon Harry, who should be forward from the inside. See if Jerry Bennett can pick up another one here and cap off what's been a very good day for the barn. A horse I just liked warming up, making the 3rd start of this current form cycle. I thought ran okay last time out when being forward, kind of flattening a little bit. So hopefully he's able to sustain it a bit more, going back down to the $16,000 level. And then the number 10, Just in Time for Wine, a horse that we used to know once upon a time way up in New York. He's an 8-year-old now, making start number 58. Just a cool, hard-knocking type that keeps his form as well. This is the horse that is, I think, the speed of the speed. We know his running style goes right out to the front, and I just have to say, he looks great as ever. As an 8-year-old, my hat off to Just in Time for Wine, who sometimes with some frequent racing maybe didn't carry his weight the best. He looks great for an older horse too, really kind of handling himself well, and obviously one that looks after himself with being on the racetrack for such a time. Always appreciate these hard-knocking claiming types, Greg.
Yeah, good way to close things out here. 5-2 again. Favorite, a Western Yarn, who has at least tactical speed in this spot, and a 2-time winner over this Tampa turf course.
Sorry, I'm getting distracted by looking things up.
Yeah, and look, and I think tactical speed in these types of races goes a long way, because turf racing, we all know, is about trip. And I do think that when you have a lot of horses like this at this level, they all kind of look very similar, and so it usually ends up being the horse that works out the best trip. And I think the tactical type horses give themselves the most options to get nice trips. If you're a deep closer in a group like this, they got to run in front of you a little bit. You got to hope you don't get stopped. You got to hope you don't go 8 wide, because if you do any of those things,
especially on the turf,
it's just too close. So that's why I ended up, and I think Andy feels similar for at least part of these reasons, is with the 1 Harpoon Harry down on the inside, is it just feels like this horse is going to work out a nice trip, save ground. And in a race that they all kind of look similar, give me the horse who's going to travel less distance, who can get out of jams because of that tactical speed.
I agree.
Meanwhile, 7-2 on the 10, Just in Time for Wine, who might be leading the way in this spot.
But fast.
Last couple of starts, though, is completely packed it in.
I don't trust that there's an ex-Gary Contessa horse, a New York bred.
Jose Delgado trains. Jose Ferrer post, well, the 10 horse, but post 9 now with a scratch of the 9. Just in time for wine. 4-time winner here, 13 wins overall, 7 seconds. Did go gate to wire back in October at the Meadowlands. Jason Beam to close things out on this Saturday card from Tampa Bay. Mile and 16th on the turf coming up.
Time for wine, and Fatima's Blessing will be all set for a start. Here's Just in Time for Wine. A Western Yard, Fatima's Blessing, Pablo Morales going to be the final one to join as we get set to close out a Saturday. Thanks for everybody who joined us here on Skyway Festival Day. And they're in the gate. And the race is on. Just in Time for Wine, showing speed from that outside draw. In between horses, a Western Yard is quick. And down along the fence, Harpoon Harry. Just in Time for Wine, Harpoon Harry. Those two going on with as they come into the stretch for the first time. It's Just in Time for Wine by a length. Harpoon Harry is second, a Western Yard third. 2 more back to You Talkin' to Me and Frosty the Soldier, who raced together 4th and 5th. They're 3 lengths clear then of Denying, who's back in the 6th spot. Right outside of that one goes Policy Option. The 3 lined up at the back are Mission Key, Eddie the Great, and Fatima's Blessing. Is up front, Just in Time for Wine. The 8-year-old where he likes to be on the engine, 22 seconds flat, the opening quarter mile. Just in Time for Wine by 2.5 to Harpoon Harry. It's another 2.5 to a Western Yard third. Up on the outside, Frosty the Soldier, You Talkin' to Me. They're still 4th and 5th, racing as a pair. They're 2.5 in front of Denying, who's back in that 6th spot. Then comes Policy Option. 2.5 more to Mission Key, Eddie the Great. Fatima's Blessing's got to be 14 lengths behind. Just in Time for Wine. 45 and 3. A demanding tempo here for Just in Time for Wine, but still has the lead into the far turn. The lead's a length and a half to Harpoon Harry, who's been stalking throughout. A Western Yard is third, getting a little closer now, just 3 off the top. As up front, Just in Time for Wine, that lead is down to a half a length. Harpoon Harry right up alongside. A Western Yard looms in behind in third. Denying is 4th down at the inside, is going to need a seam. Then comes You Talkin' to Me, trying to see if anything's coming on from the back. Trying to run on is Eddie the Great. As they come 3/16 a mile from home, Just in Time for Wine. Here's a Western Yard, and a Western Yard coming up to Poconos in front of Just in Time for Wine. Eddie the Great is starting to roll right down the crown of the track. It's a Western Yard. Eddie the Great right down the outside. Policy Option is third. A Western Yard. Eddie the Great surging as they come to the wire. Eddie the Great at 6-1 got it. A Western Yard was second. Third went to Policy Option. 4th, Denying.
Eddie the Great, that big performance from off the pace last time out. Came up just short. This time, picture taken.
Got it done. Sprinter stretching out. Got it done.
Absolutely. Basically the same race style that he ran last time.
Yeah. Eddie the Great, 5th win overall. Fun day at Tampa Bay Downs with these 3 stakes on the card, and we will see what happens going forward with, rookie card too. We talked about those problems he had in the race caused by Owen Almighty, a horse to maybe keep your eyes on going forward.
Well, there's no way to know what he would have done.
Exactly. We are back with you tomorrow, 1:30 Eastern Time. Check your local listings on Fox Sports. All 3 of us back?
I'm going to see my mom.
Okay. Andy off. I'm back. JK's back. We'll have a good one. Tizzy in the Sky takes the ladies. Kander Carmouche, couple of wins on the Saturday card. Teams up here. For Todd Pletcher gets his 5th win in that race. In the Pasco, Naughty Rascal put up after the DQ of Owen Almighty. Dancing Magic gets the money in the Gasparilla. And in the Wayward Lass, it was little Jamie, first stakes victory for this filly. We'll see you tomorrow.